interviewing our guest and the thing I'm going to talk about tonight, which is my beloved high school canceling football. And if you know me and know my work, football is my life's blood. I'm a huge, huge fan of the sport. I credit the sport with literally, making me the man that I am, God damn it. Learned how to be tough on the football field. Wih! And so I see people are coming in now. But if you're watching after the fact, after the live, you can fast forward to 00:00, and guess what? You will be in the firestorm, the hot zone, if you will. Actually, we don't do hot takes here. That's not what we do. Everything is a celebration, or in this case, a period of mourning. Notice I'm wearing black. All right, we've got somebody in there from Facebook coming in. My guest tonight is in the green room, and it takes a while for people to start filtering in. So this might be the first time he gets to hear the chitter chatter. Now I got to get, who do we have? There you are. Uh-oh, Rob Otto in the chat room. Rob, Christian is muted right now, so he's probably saying some stuff, but nobody can hear him. So you are in charge of the texting. Rob wrote 4041, run it again. That's a whole separate story for all of you for later. All right, so Rob's in here. Who we got on YouTube? Shout me out, ladies and gentlemen. Whoops, bumped it. Once again, if you're watching after the fact, I can't help you. You can fast forward to 00:00 and we start in the content, or just hang out and watch how I interact with the fans and all the love that I give them. Cicada's saying, bring it on. Absolutely. We have more people coming in. Now YouTube's starting to filter in. We have found that YouTube, it used to be all Facebook. My audience used to be Facebook, and more Facebook. 24,000 people in the Scott Sigler group on Facebook. And then Facebook starts mucking about and trying to nickel and dime everything. And now not that many people coming on Facebook. But YouTube is booming. And let's see if we got anybody on Twitch. Who's on Twitch tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Malachi, nice to see you. Don, how are you? Edward, Rocco. Rob says, can you just keep him on mute the entire time? That's fabulous. All right, we're going to do this. We're getting a ton of echo, so I have to close the door to the room that has a modicum of AC. And what happens is I get real hot, people. I get hot. I get steamy. People are trying to update. Software's trying to update. It's a madhouse in here, you guys. Totally madhouse. A Real Girl herself, my beloved, will not be up here for this episode, but will be up for the next episode. Chris Grohl got blocked on Facebook. Oh, for Christ's sakes. Was that me? Did I do that? Okay, if you guys don't know this, we have a chat app which merges Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And occasionally LinkedIn, because look how businessy I am. And we get a lot of spam all the time. And so we go in the chat app, we try and select the spammer and block them. But because the chat can move so fast, sometimes I'll click to call up the block and then the thing will move. And when I hit block, it's someone else. And that's probably what I did to Chris Grohl. Malachi, we just were in Vegas. Had a off the record little night in Vegas. It was great. We loved it. Okay. Yeah, goddamn it, Chris Grohl, it was me. All right, we'll have to figure that. We'll figure that out later. All right. Actually, YouTube, I think, is a better experience overall, bud. Not going to lie to you. Okay. Great. So we've got coming up on the episode here. Let's get this done. I got to make sure I actually hit record. I forgot to test Scott, my guest, for recording, so we will do that before we get rolling. Hang on, guys. We're going to get this done. So let's see. Zoom, record, Scott, record, and we will test this before we go live. Boom, boom, boom. And I can mute that. Looks really good. All right, people, so let's get you caught up on what's happening in the world of Siglerism. Here we go. Slice the script. All right, guys. A Real Girl prepared all the info for us for today. Welcome, of course, if you're on YouTube, hit like, ring that bell, and subscribe. All that usual happy horseshit. If you're watching in TikTok, welcome. So far, we have not had one person watch on TikTok, but it feeds to TikTok, so it is all good. What I'm working on right now is the Crypt Book 3. It is called Fratricide, and it's going to be even nuttier and more violent than the first two books, which if you have not read the Crypt series, I want you to understand when I say it's going to be more violent than the first two books. That's a thing. That's a big deal. Okay, so here we go. Do our advertisers real quick. GoDaddy.com, the code CJCFOSSIG3. You can see it on the screen right there. Get you 99% off the first year of a new 3-year domain registration, which includes .coms and everything else. It's fantastic. Quince.com. I'm not wearing any Quince clothing right now, but it looks real good on me. Not going to lie to you. Quince.com/Sigler gets you 365-day returns, which is insane because you can wear something a few times, try it out, and you're like, nah, it's not for me. You can send it back. I don't think you will, but you can. Hold on, look, I'm already short enough. Let me adjust that camera. Thank you very much. And also free shipping at quince.com/Scott Sigler. Now, seriously, guys, I know I'm sitting here in a rock t-shirt and looking scruffy, which I'll explain in a moment, but you're going to look good if you wear that stuff, and it's ridiculously affordable. It's fantastic. And stamps.com. Boom. We've had stamps.com as a sponsor for 20 effing years. Code Sigler100 is going to save you a bunch on postage. You get a free postal meter, a digital postal meter. You get all this great stuff. If you ship anything, if you make anything, if you have any kind of correspondence in your small or medium business, you're going to want to check that out. And of course, the best of them all, ScottSigler.supportingcast.fm. If you're listening to my podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, anywhere else, and you're just sick of those darn ads getting shoved in between everything, hey, those aren't two pillows. If you don't like that, you can go to ScottSigler.supportingcast.fm, and for varying subscribing rates, you can get no ads on a bunch of casts and a bunch of other awesome, cool stuff as well. I wouldn't call it free stuff because you're going to pay a little bit, but for the price of a cup of coffee a month, for goddamn sakes, you can be free of the yoke that is advertising. Can't get past the man. You cannot get past the man. All right, let's go back to opening. Now we are cooking along. Let's see, what do we got? Publishing updates. Beast Beyond the River. My next novel is out September 22nd, 2026. You can go to scottsigler.com/BEASTS, and you see all the links, including the link for audible.com, because the audiobook is narrated by none other than Ray fucking Porter, who is the narrator of Earthcore, Mount Fitzroy, The Crypt Shakedown, The Crypt Void Strike, and a little book you might have heard of called, what was it? Project Hail Mary. Have you heard of this goddamn book? I think you probably have. Ray Porter is the one who narrates that. Hell of a guy, class act, and absolutely crushes my work. It's fantastic. And then Slay Hatchet Man will be out maybe end of 2026, maybe early 2027. That, of course, is written with Rob Otto, who is in the chat room right now. You guys can all sing Rob's praises. We have approved a cover. We are excited. We're not going to show you the cover yet. We are shortly going to get in the process of approving our audiobook narrator, which will be a whole different thing. But Rob and I are working hard on all of that stuff. Appearances coming up. I will be at Dragon Con in the ATL, and that is coming up. I don't have the dates on that off the top of my head. But if you're going to be at Dragon Con, you need to come see me. I'm at the Alien Science Fiction in One for the Junkies panel on Friday, and on Sunday, Sounds Frightening, audio horror and suspense in audiobook. And if you guys, if you're in the ATL region and you haven't been to a Dragon Con, you got to go. It's amazing. It's bonkers. It's lovely. It's wonderful. It's Nerd Super Bowl. It's incredible. And if you are there and you've never been to a One for the Junkies panel, things get silly. I will say that my guest today, back in our amateur days of college, was a professional drinker, absolutely. And Scott, Christian, the amount that gets consumed in 1 hour at a One for the Junkies panel is absolutely spectacular. So you guys got to come to that. Let's see. And then, of course, housekeeping, what we have put out recently. Slices, the Horror Writers Association controversy, went live in the podcast feed on August 9th. The J.J. Watt, football player, is a nice guy, went live in the podcast feed on August 12th. And Sunday, August 16th, Slices, So You Want to Write? Audiobooks went live in the podcast feed. And if there's anything you want to hear about on this podcast, email info@emptyset.com. Now, Scott's going to be on timeout for another couple of minutes because I've got some things to share. I need to make sure I'm recording everything correctly. So actually, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Get rid of that. And because we have the amazing Steve the Iceberg Ricky Berg, ace of production, he's going to take care of this for us. I'll be able to bring Scott on in just 1 second. But here we go. Let's get ready with this. Let's get ready with this episode. It's sad, and I'll probably sound angry. When do I not sound angry? But it's more sad than angry. Let's get this motherfucker recording right here. Boop. Oh, I forgot. My guest today is an educator. So I need to stop swearing because the organization that employs him, not so hip on the swearing. So this will probably be a relatively cursing free episode, but we got to be, we got to get in our classiness. Here we go. That is recording. Excellent. All right, guys. As you know, we do this. We're going to do 2 podcasts live. When I get done with this topic and this guest, a real girl herself will come up for the second topic, which is a quarterback in the NFL doing everything he can legally to prevent his college from giving his number to anyone else. Yes, ma'am.
Make sure you're recording this.
Yes, got it. Will do. Thanks, babe. And it's a bonkers story, and it's just, that's the only word for it. It's absolutely bonkers, and we're going to cover that with everybody. If I keep swearing, I'll have to write lines, Scott. Malik, I don't know what that means. You have to explain it to me. All right, here we go. You guys ready? Let's get into it. Steve, recording starts right now. The orange and the black. My Ionath Krakens, the main team in my Galactic Football League series, has orange and black uniforms. Those colors are based on my love for my high school team, the Cheboygan Chiefs from Cheboygan High School in Cheboygan, Michigan. I played football there. I wrestled there. I grew up there. I graduated from there. And football was literally the cultural anchor of that town. It was the glue that held everyone together. And it was a dominant team. And now Cheboygan High School varsity football, the unthinkable has happened. Varsity football is canceled for the 2026 season. Canceled because someone did something silly. Canceled because someone did something wrong. Canceled because of cancel culture. No, there are other reasons, and they're very, very sad. And I will not lie to you. I'm heartbroken, and it sucks. I will tell you all about those reasons, this sadness, my sadness, with a special guest right after this. Okay, that's where, of course, we break for the intro and everything else. All right, guys, here we go. By the way, cheers, everybody. Yes, Rob, orange and black forever, because I've immortalized the orange and the black forever. Whose house? Here we go. Welcome to Scott Sigler Slices. I am Scott Sigler, a sci-fi, horror, and sports fiction author. My alma mater, the place I graduated high school from, has canceled varsity football. My dad, Irv Sigler, built a juggernaut of a program there. My brother, also Irv Sigler, played in that program, and I played in that program. And my development as a young adult, continuing on well into my adulthood, was massively, massively influenced by my time on the gridiron at Cheboygan High School. And while I was much more successful as a wrestler, because I weighed a whopping 123 pounds heading into my senior year, my first love is and always will be football. So Cheboygan High School, my alma mater, and Cheboygan is located in northern Michigan. And if you know anybody from Michigan, they make a mitten and they point. We're right there at the tip, with just the tip. This year, due to injuries and other reasons, the 11-man football operation, and I say that because there's a thing called 8-man football, which we're probably going to discuss a little bit. They had 13 kids out to play 11-man football, which would mean at a minimum, 8 of those kids would have to play the full game on offense and defense and special teams. They decided that was not in the best interest of the students, in citing player and student safety. They canceled varsity football. Now, as I understand it, they still have freshman football and JV football, but even the concept of merging the JV with the varsity, it just was not in the best interest of the programs, and especially not in the best interest of the kids playing the program. So it has been canceled. Now, we're going to talk about this in this episode, but they are working to bring it back. 2026 hopefully is the only off season, but with the demographic changes and the economic changes in Northern Michigan and the competition from other sports, there is no guarantee that the program will be back at all. To discuss this, ladies and gentlemen, I am now going to bring on, hold on, Scott, is Steve cut this part out real quick? Asked to unmute. Scott, you got an unmute notice there?
I'm on mute.
Okay, talk to me a little bit.
Hey, how we doing?
Okay. Oh, yep, we are recording. Fabulous. Let me look at that real quick. See, this is what you have this is what when you got great people helping you out. Steve the Iceberg Ricky Brewer will slice all of this out of the podcast, and it will sound smooth as hell. Okay,
all right.
Here we go. To help me out on this episode is one of my best friends in the world, and he and I played football together at Cheboygan High School back in the day. We reveled in the program. We loved it. The pros, the cons, the hits, the hurts, the goods, the bads, everything. We enjoyed it all. And then he loved it so much, he went on to become an educator, and he was currently the girls lacrosse coach at Culver Academy in Indiana. He was the head girls lacrosse coach at Grand Haven, Michigan, with over 100 athletes in the program. He coached football at Belding High School in Michigan. He coached wrestling at Olivet, Michigan, Grand Haven, Michigan, Cheboygan, of course, and at Culver Academy. And he has joined existing strong programs as a coach. He has built programs from scratch. And I now welcome on to this episode my friend Scott Christian. Hello, Scott Christian. How you doing?
Hey, I want you to know that you've always had class. So this is just let you know that.
We know that's not true. Hold on, I gotta turn this. I got a thing going on here. Base. What am I in here? Boom. The novels of our previous guests were flashing up on the screen. So, Scott, we are both talking about this, and our friend chat was just nonstop talking about this the day that it happened. And we have an article in the Cheboygan Tribune, Cheboygan Daily Tribune. Cheboygan football ending season brings a sad, sick feeling. And that article is by Jared Greenleaf. I've not met Jared or talked to Jared. But what we're talking about right now is that our alma mater, where we grew up as kids, as teenagers, and our identity is such a hugely tied into that football program and the coming of age, becoming young men in that program. It has been canceled. First of all, Scott, I got to ask you, like, we've both been gone a long time, but how does it feel to you that the program you played high school football in is just not going to have varsity football this year?
It's very sad. Like, I've actually been talking with it on my friends here at Culver Academy and everything, and they're kind of in shock as well, because Indiana football in Indiana is a pretty big deal as well. And just the fact that, something that shaped you and kind of guided you to have success in life is not there for other people. And Sheboygan desperately needs that for a lot of those kids. I don't even want to know where I'd be if it wasn't for the guidance of athletics in my high school career and college.
Yeah, you were at times you could be a little bit of a wild child in high school, and not anything completely out of control, but we grew up in a place where there was literally nothing to do. When this will date us both, but we were so old that when Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out, the single movie theater in our town held it over for 6 weeks. So one of the main things that we could do as kids, if you weren't out partying, which some people did, other people did not, was go to the movies. And it was such a small town that once I started making money at that movie, so there was 6 weeks, maybe 8. Rob out in the chat room could probably help us out. So basically 2 months of just one movie being available on one screen every night gives you an idea of how small this town was, right? And being teenagers, of course, what a lot of teenagers do in any situation, but especially when you're very bored and very hyperactive, is going out and finding ways to get in trouble to entertain yourself. We didn't have that. So, having football as a structure, especially with my dad, the coach, was like, that's too much buffoonery will not be tolerated. If you screw around too much, you're not going to play football. And that threat was so severe to the young men in our town that it changed people's behavior. Scott, you can speak to that a little more. You were a little more outgoing with the partying than I. Everybody thought I was a
I like
narc
you. I
in
like
my
how you
head.
said outgoing.
You were a little bit more outgoing. Can you speak a little bit about how the threat of not being able to play football impacted your behavior as a teenager?
Yeah, so I mean, like during the football season, obviously there's not a lot to do in Sheboygan, but during the football season, we were all scared. Like we did not want to do anything to jeopardize the program, and we were a winning football team. And that was because of that. Now, did we hang out at each other's house and stuff and like that and have a good time? Yes, but we weren't doing some of the crazy things that other kids were doing that weren't playing football. We were just too nervous. And the same went true when wrestling season came around. Of course, we had to make weight. That
Yeah,
did
that.
count too. Um,
Yes.
so, but I mean, like you had pride in your community and your school,
Yes.
and the vandalism was almost next to nothing. There was buffoonery and stuff, but like no vandalism. People respected you, and the community came together. And that's the other thing that is sad is that people people came together to help kids. The
Yes.
Dad's Club sponsored so many kids that couldn't afford to do anything or get
Yes.
cleats.
Yep.
And that's a big deal to communities when they can rally around and help kids. And that's why, kids will lose that positive thing. And I worry about kids of this generation where these things happen because they don't have the support.
Yeah, and the Dad's Club was a huge, huge deal. Dano in the chat room, email info at Empty Set about that, and we will get back to you as far as the San Diego meetup. It really was. Now, my dad was the football coach, and Coach Sigler was a bit of a disciplinarian and ran a very, if you do this, you're going to get in this kind of trouble. And after getting that kind of trouble once, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that crap anymore. But we grew up in a town where there was a significant amount of poverty. There was a significant amount of abuse in the homes, and also a significant amount of the parents were just either they were too busy or it was one parent or both parents had checked out. And you think about small town Americana that we used to be great. In our town, it was great for some people, but really not great for a lot of people. They didn't have that, that Hollywood white picket fence upbringing. There was just all kinds of stuff going on up there. And high school sports was this, it wasn't a way out for people. It wasn't like Friday Night Lights or, Muck City, where you're like, the only way out of town is you got to be good at football, son. If you're not be good at football, you're going to work in the mill. And yes, we did have a mill, and a lot of people worked at it. But it provided a disciplinary structure. It provided positivity that many kids simply did not have at home. And I think by and large, it taught people the value of teamwork, and it taught people the value of hard work and sacrifice. So now if we look at Cheboygan High School, and Cheboygan's a much smaller town than it was when we were there. There's a lot of, it's very tough in small town America right now, especially in the Midwest. But these kids won't have that overpowering structure that says you're going to go to class, you're going to get good grades. If you don't do that, you don't get this reward. And this reward of Friday Night Lights, stepping on that field, Lincoln Avenue on a Friday night, and having 5,000 people from a town of 2,000 people there was just it was bonkers. And these guys don't get to experience that, and I think that is pretty tough.
Yeah, and one of the things that the hidden thing that we don't see is what does that kid do now that there's no football practice?
Yeah.
Where does he go in a town that has nothing? Um, and like you mentioned, there are some kids who suffer from, abuse at home.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they go? Even the thing with the Dad's Club, I don't know if you remember, but at the B&C local restaurant, they put breakfast on for us. And
Yep.
some of our own teammates, that was the meal of the day.
Yeah. And the Dad's Club was a fan supporting organization. And it's called the Dad's Club because mostly it started out as dads trying to raise money for the program, raise awareness for the program. when my father became the coach there weren't enough helmets, right? There wasn't enough pads to properly outfit a football team, a bunch of growing young bodies in a high impact violent sport, and that people didn't have shoes, people didn't have cleats. And this organization came together, and it's very common in the Midwest, probably elsewhere in small towns, but in the Midwest, you get people who are in their 30s and 40s who are like, we got to figure out how to get some money for these kids. So there were bake sales, there were garage sales, there was all these fundraising opportunities to buy equipment for the kids because the school could not afford enough equipment for the kids. And as that program grew, my dad started coaching in the 70s and into the 80s, and I think he left in maybe 90, 91. As that program grew, more and more kids came to play. And we're going to talk about this in a second. This is why I brought Scott on as the guest, because he has expertise in this area. And my father was a high school teacher, and so he was in the halls, and every single young man he saw, even the tiny ones like me, even like dorks who could barely put 2 feet together, people were stumbling in their locker like, hey, you know what? You should come out to play football. Coach, I'm not going to play football. You know what? You're going to have a good time, and we could use you. We need you. You should come out. You'll have a blast. It's going to be great. And he was up to like 50, 60, 70 kids coming out for this program. And when he got there were 17 boys out for football, 17. And but when you have more kids and you have more involvement, you need a bigger budget. So the Dad's Club was this wonderful organization that was able to find money and bring it in and kind of be a stopgap while the school figured out how to get more money into the various sports programs. And the other thing the Dad's Club did was raise more awareness in the community. Now, in the Midwest and everywhere in America, if your sports team is a winning sports team, you're going to get people out to those games. If that sport happens to be football or basketball, you're going to get a lot of people out to those games. So that, Scott, brings us to, now you have built programs from scratch. I think you told me the first time you were the girls lacrosse coach at Culver. How many athletes?
Oh, so I think we had like 20 on the varsity, which was fine, but most of those girls were graduating, and we only had 13 on the JV, which that's not sustainable for a program. Because you can't, in Culver, we can't recruit in girls lacrosse. So, and there is no feeder program. There's no junior high. There's no elementary. we're just a private school in the middle of a cornfield.
Yep.
And so now we have, and there's a lot of factors involved, but now we have over a third of the entire girls on campus play lacrosse.
Holy cats, that's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That brings its own
but
problems.
How does that happen? How do you go from not enough girls have a sustainable program into having triple digits of athletes? How does that? Because this is directly related to the Cheboygan incident or what's happening right now. How did you guys make that happen?
So I think like coaching has changed vastly from like the 70s and the 80s. You can't just say to a kid, it's my way or the highway. There are so many different factors, and kids are being pulled in so many different directions. They're actually like, it's confusing to them as well. And I think, like, first of all my girls can tell you, or anybody, because I talked to some of my wrestlers last night who graduated years ago. That was so much fun. That you actually care about them, not just as an athlete, but as a student and as a person. And that's easy to say, but it's real difficult. So I go out of my way to know all the girls, where they're from, birthdays, same with the boys. And if I see them in the hallway, I always yell across the hallway at them something, funny or snarky or something like that. I'll pop in their classrooms while they're studying or something and look over the thing and tease them a little bit. But it's all those little moments of showing kids that you truly care, not just about the sports. Like, I talk to all my kids right now, and not about lacrosse, just about life. And kids need that.
Yeah.
They want people to care because it's a confusing world out there. So that's kind of what you got. You got to have the heart to be able to reach those kids.
And you're building a program, continuing to build a program, and that's and without a doubt, the more kids you get into a high school sports program, the more people you are teaching how to get ready for life. Because our football practices were just brutal. They were very difficult to get through. And I think, of course, my wrestling practices were far harder. It's a much more intense contact sport. But that's where we learned discipline. That's where we learned, like, it's as my father was fond of saying, well, it's only pain, you're gonna hurt anyway, so I guess you might as well keep sprinting. And that of course being in the context of actual injuries were always paid close attention to and people were pulled out. So it wasn't like, I know you broke your kneecap, but get on the field. That thing never happened in our program. But you watch a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, like, oh, coach, I'm so tired, I don't want to. And you've got adults there that the kids respect, and they're like, you can be tougher than this. You can keep going. You can learn how to overcome obstacles. You can learn how to endure. And all of these skills went on. Like, I would not be the author I am without football. Zero question. The general concept of, I have now gotten my ass kicked for the 30th time in a row in the world of literature. And all that was just like, let's go, get up, let's go again. And it was the same thing with wrestling. So it's hopefully these kids have other outlets, but the other outlets is also part of this situation. So I don't know, Scott, if you know more about this than I do, but when we played high school football, it was the only fall sport was at the school was football. I think we didn't have a soccer program at that time. Cheboygan now does. And also there are other sports such as baseball, because the nature of high school sports has changed. And I think you can speak to this. When we played, most of the people we went to high school with were athletes, played 3 sports, played fall, winter, spring. I was football and wrestling, and I was very slow. So I played track 1 year, did not work out for me. But people played 3 sports, and now kids are encouraged to play 1 sport year round in club sport, and club sport is not a high school organized team. In what you do, are you finding that kids are pushed into, like, just focus on 1 sport only, or do you get a lot of diversity where you're at?
No, I don't want a one sport athlete. I actually discourage it. There are so many scientific studies and psychological studies of the negativity of specializing in a sport at a
Okay,
young age. When you get to college, whole different story.
of course.
But at high school, when you have an all-around athlete, they actually perform better during the season. And this is an argument that we have gone round and round in the coaching world. You know what? And that's a big problem as uh, we share with other coaches, but some coaches, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I want a 3-sport athlete." But as soon as they start to have a losing season, oh well, all of a sudden, and I'm like, that's not the point. The point is, like, what do you do in practice? Do you maximize the time in practice to practice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, kids need to find value in what they're doing. And if you push them just to push them. So I did have a coach a long time ago in another town in Michigan. Um, and he just wanted the kids to run sprints. And I was running the program. It was a youth football program, and I was one of the directors. And I saw this, and I asked him, "What is the purpose of just running sprints? Did they do something like jump off sides?"
Mm-hmm.
And even your dad ran us, but we always got in a 3-point stance, and the quarterback always did the thing, and
That's
it
right.
created discipline for us not to jump off sides. But he was just running them.
Yes.
And I'm like, the kids don't find any value in that. Yeah, would I rather be home, playing video games? In that case, yes. Okay. But if they buy into you and they buy into the program and you
Mm-hmm.
tell the kids, like, that's a new thing now I've had to adjust to. I have to tell the kids the value of something
Uh-huh.
because we run sprints. Like, we run sprints. But I have to tell you the value of why we run sprints and why we do it. Okay. Because in lacrosse, there's restraining lines. If you cross the restraining line, you forfeit the ball to the other team.
Okay.
And so I try to trick and make them jump and do all this other stuff.
Right.
And every time they jump, they have 3 extra sprints. So,
And that
you
and
know,
that's part of the mental discipline that is built up playing high school
correct.
athletics is do you think like you can go get a job at McDonald's, which I had in high school? You can have a high school job, mow lawns, do whatever you do. And if you screw up, maybe you get talked to, or maybe you get fired. If you're a little lazy, maybe you're around it. But there aren't a lot of situations where it's a zero-sum game. And what
Right.
kids are taught in high school sports is if you go across that line too early, that hurts not just you, but all of your teammates and all of the coaches. And when we grew up, all of the community. So it brings in this entirely different perspective on I need to learn discipline, mental discipline, physical discipline. Even when I'm tired, I still have to execute my job. I think that's the thing that high school sports gave us. And these, keep in mind, in Cheboygan, there's other sports that these guys will be able to play. And we're going to talk about some of these guys in a second. But, and I've wrestled, I have played football, I was horrible at basketball, very slow at all the track and field, etc. So I really only know those two sports, but I think all the sports are fairly common. They're fairly unified in you're teaching young kids and teenagers how to be disciplined when they would rather be at home playing a video game. And that's the kind of thing that I think I'm worried about for some of the young men who are playing in that team who have sort of come into their own. This is their moment. They may never, the 99% of people who play high school football never go on to play in college. 99%. And it's very rare to get to play college football. So this moment of development and coming into your physicality and mastering hard work and then seeing 4 or 5 years of really hard work pay off in your junior or senior year, and you get that moment in the sun and you see the reward for working hard. Now these guys sort of get cheated out of it. Like, how, as a coach, how do you think the juniors and seniors in that team are dealing with this?
Oh, I think it's the kids that went out. I think it's just a crushing blow. You also have to remember too, as a head coach, it would be a crushing blow. But I'd be more worried about the JV and freshman team.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's no future, why go out?
Yep.
So now the coach has an even bigger problem. He has to sell the program not just to new kids, but he's really got to sell it to the JVs and the freshmen,
Right.
because now he's competing against video games, other sports, doing nothing, a job. Like he's got all those factors to compete with, which he normally does.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids don't see any value.
Right. Because they're like, why would I do this if I should go play baseball or I should
Right.
go play basketball? Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I've always heard coaches say, "Oh, there's just too many sports." Okay, no. I have me personally, I don't ever say that, because there's more opportunities for more kids to succeed, and I'm like, "Great." And I've had girls say, "Well, you know what? I'm going to try out for crew." I'm like, "Great. That's great. If lacrosse wasn't for you, I fully support that." You know what? The next year, guess what? They're back playing lacrosse,
Mm-hmm.
because I care what the kid wants. And that's the thing is, it's really hard to do that sometimes, because you get on yourself and you're like, it's me, it's this, it's that. I learned a long time ago, and your dad was one of these. I don't deal with excuses.
Right.
I deal with solutions.
Yep.
And so we have all of these things, but there is a solution. There are many small towns in Michigan and throughout the United States that are dealing with the same thing as Sheboygan, and yet they thrive.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And so this comes back to, and now keep in mind, Scott.
There's a little bit of anger in my voice on that one. I apologize.
Scott and I do not know, we do not know the coach at Cheboygan High School.
No.
And we are not making any aspirations on how that's going in the program, because there's several factors going on. The population is about 65%. Rob, if you're in the chat room, you know more about Cheboygan than we do. The population of our hometown has dropped significantly. And that means there's less kids to come out. At the same time, in Michigan, there's a thing called eight-man football. NFL's 11-man football. NCAA's 11-man football. In very small rural towns across America, there's a thing called 8-man football, which is a faster game. There's not as many people, but it's specifically there because small towns don't have as many kids and you can't fill out a full team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got the population reducing economically in Sheboygan. Rob and I have been to Sheboygan a bunch of times. Scott is up there all the time. it's a hard place to make a living, man. You know,
Hmm.
if you're not a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, you don't have a flourishing business. People move out because there's nothing there for them. So the school's getting smaller, and at the same time, what I referred to earlier is fall sport was football and there was nothing else. Now there's soccer. Now there's year-round baseball, and there's hockey. Hockey is a big deal. One of the high school coaches at Cheboygan is now the current head coach at Michigan State University hockey. So the hockey program wasn't there when we played. So now you've got multiple sports: soccer, baseball, soccer and hockey competing for that fall sport. You've got the Urge, the Cheboygan baseball program is very successful, probably the dominant program in that town right now. So you've got kids there who are like, hey man, if I can get 10 grand a year to go to college because I'm really good at baseball, I'm going to focus on baseball and nothing else. So some of your best athletes are focusing on hockey, focusing on baseball, and of course going to play soccer. So you have all of these competing things that we didn't have. You've got a reducing population. You've got oppressive economic situation. So it's just really hard to get kids out. That being said, the coach is a teacher in the school, and we are left wondering, is that coach doing enough to go up to every boy in that school and get him to come out and play football? And frankly, we just don't know. We don't know.
I'm just gonna say this is the hard part, and I've been a head coach, built programs. Some I struggled, but some I've had great success with. And that's the thing. You want to be the head coach, you take the responsibility.
All right. Right.
And that's the end of the story right there for me.
That's right.
And then you got to find solutions. I have my own ideas of solutions that would work. But you have hockey program, you've got a baseball program. Like, kids thrive in athletics there. You just haven't hit the right button to make football that. And it's there in that community. It's been there in that community since the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a super weird thing because, and I'm trying to have perspective on this. I'm trying to learn. The world has changed. The town has changed. And there's new sports in town, and things are very different. We didn't have video games like they have now, all this different stuff. But football was the town shut down. Not just on Friday nights. The town shut down on Thursday nights when the JV kids played. When we would play high school football at another town, there would be 1,000 people from our community. They would get on school buses, and the school buses would bus them to other games. And the visitor stands would be overflowing. And I think this number, I may be wrong on this, but I think my junior year, your senior year, we played Gaylord, Michigan, who's another great small town in Michigan, wonderful tourist town. And they were 8 wins, no losses. We were 8 wins and no losses. And we played that game at home. And there were 8,000 people at that game. And it was bonkers. Now, in places like, Texas and Florida and Pennsylvania, this is not uncommon for them. Where we grew up, it was almost the population of both towns combined were at that football game. And I don't think they have that anymore. And it's what I'm saying is it should be relatively easy to get kids to come out for football in Cheboygan, but also we've been gone for a very, very long time. So we don't know. We don't really know what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not boots on the ground there. But I have been boots on the ground in similar situations. And it takes a lot of work. Like, you sacrifice a lot at home, and you put in a lot of time, and it is so frustrating at times. But if the job was easy, everybody would win a state championship in every sport at every team.
Yeah. Which is another point that I think people don't really understand. The life of a high school sports coach is also usually probably an educator in the system. That's a 14 to 18 hour a day job, not just through the season, but 2 months before the season and a few weeks after the season. And this, you're a multi-coach sport. Like, that's all you do. And often at the expense of spending time with your spouse, spending time with your children, because now you have largely more children. So, it's easy to assume that this is a coaching issue in that town. But you guys, I mean, my dad was just phenomenal. Zero complaints about my dad. Absolute wonderful role model. gave me a moral structure, a moral code, taught me how to work hard, taught me how to be tough. He was not there for a lot of stuff during football season because he was basically a dad to 60 kids, not just the 2 that he had. Scott, I'm sure you've been through similar stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I did not get to see my son play lacrosse very often. There was one game where I told the girls, and we were playing a team that was lesser than us in Michigan, and I just said, guys, I don't say this often, but we got to do the mercy rule in the first half. So I'm going to tell you right now, like, guys, we're going to keep the starters in the
And for
first
those
half.
of you guys at home, the mercy rule in high school sports is if Team
Running
A
clock.
gets so far ahead of Team B that it's going to be embarrassing. It's already
Right,
embarrassing.
you run the clock continuously,
Run the
so
clock.
there's no stoppage.
Yes.
And so I was like, honest to God, I'm not trying to embarrass any teams or anything, but my son is playing 2 fields down, and I have yet to see his game. And so I just asked this one time, can we do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you guys just we're going to run the score for a minute and then get this game done so I can go see my kid play. So,
Yeah.
much sympathy to the coaching staff at Cheboygan High School. Because the last thing I'll say about this, we're going to talk about some of the kids who have unexpectedly had their high school careers cut short, is they're already sacrificing a huge amount, whether they're successful in their program or not. There is no phoning it in high school sports to be a coach. So shout out to the coaches at Cheboygan. Shout out to all the high school coaches all across America. It is a very demanding job, and everyone in that town knows more about that job than you do. And you've got these little chirps going on in your ear all over the place. It's extremely hard. Another friend of ours, Jeff Rappelgee, was a head football coach, and it's really, really difficult because everyone is coming at you all the time. So there's a huge amount of sacrifice for the coaches. They are working hard. Some people are better at some things than others, but those who are very good at coaching high school sports and can build programs, that comes at a cost. There's an opportunity cost, and that is time at home with your family, with your children, and even with yourself. So we're going to just shout out some of the players here who were mentioned in that article in the Sheboygan Daily Tribune. Do not know these young men, but here are the key players to watch prior to the cancellation. Before the difficult decision to cancel the varsity season in August 2026, several key returning seniors and rising underclassmen were expected to lead the Chiefs. Hunter Meldrum, senior, expected to anchor roles on both offense and defense as one of the squad's most experienced players. Nolan Schley, senior, key returning upperclassman and varsity contributor. Daniel Harkey, expected to see significant time in the field. Landon Gahn, another senior, named among the veteran core heading into the fall. Jersey Mix, that's a cool name, Jerzi, part of the senior leadership group. Chaz Andrews, that's two Z's on Chaz, everybody, get it right, that's double Z. He is standout riser identified during the summer in 7-on-7 sessions. So they were already practicing 7-on-7 because they didn't have enough kids to be able to practice 11-on-11 when facing other teams. And Liam Fredette and Wyatt Wiltfong Jr.'s slated for expanded foundational roles. I honestly, because of the town we grew up in, Scott, and Rob Otto watching right now, Dan Baker watching right now, I expected to see some Jules and some Charbonneaus and some of the other names that there were.
Stemke's.
Some Stemke's. Oddly, none of the anchor families of the Sheboygan area are mentioned in that particular group. But Scott, we're going to finish up here, and I don't go back to Sheboygan that often, but this is such a huge part of my family. And my dad helped build that culture. And Jack Kuhn, our coach when we were in high school, took over the program, continued to build that culture. And it was such a huge part of the town. It's Friday Night Lights. It's very upsetting to me. It's kind of crushing. How do you feel as a former player and coach in that town?
It is crushing. And like I said, my heart goes out for all those athletes and future athletes because they aren't going to have the opportunities that we had. And to me, that's a travesty.
Yeah.
And on a personal note, I'm very proud of the years that I played there. I would have never met you guys.
That's true. Yeah.
I remember the first day of practice when you came out, and I was like, "Who is this guy?"
Who is this
Well,
tiny, very angry young man?
Dan Baker, is that guy really a center? He's so small.
Yeah,
So, like, but like, it works. You know what I mean?
it's magic.
And
It's absolute
yeah,
magic. Yeah,
it's magic, and we have been friends ever since.
yeah,
All of us, Carlson, you, I, Baker. It's all those people who played together. And you go back to a restaurant. Paul Carlson and I were in Sheboygan. We were at a restaurant. These guys were talking football, and Paul leaned over and just started talking with him about Sheboygan football.
yes, yeah. It's a very unifying factor,
Hmm.
being from that town. And I'll tell the story really quick about how I met Scott Christian in a moment. But yeah, the friendships, being in the line of fire together, and keep in mind when you're 15, 16, 17 years old, you don't really know what oppression, what that means. Not oppression, wrong word. You know what it means to really have to hang in there and endure. But a football program or a lacrosse program or any sports program teaches you that in a way that no classroom ever can, and the people you are on that team with, and you rely on them, they rely on you. It's hugely formative. And I hope these young men are able to go do another sport and have some level of success. Scott, before I let you go, I have to tell everybody how I met Scott Christian. And Scott Christian is a year above me. And this was the 80s. So we had a couple of young women move into the town, and they were twins. And they moved into this small town in northern Michigan. And maybe Rob can remember where they moved in from, but they both dressed up like Madonna. And Madonna was not a thing you dressed up like where we grew up. So I was a grade up in math, and Scott Christian, I was in like the second row, and these girls were put in the front row because they were new in the school, and so they didn't get the prime seats in the back. And so I'm a year up, and I'm sitting there, and of course I'm taking notes. Nerdy Scott, I'm gonna knock this class out. And this is also the era of the Friday 13th movies. And all of a sudden there's a tap on my left knee. And I'm like, I look down, and crawling under the desks is this smiling person who already has basically a full beard at the age of 17. And he looks up at me, he's like, "Excuse me." And I'm like, "Oh." So I have to move to the side, and Scott crawls under the table, under the desks, and comes up behind these two girls and gets the chair, and he goes, "Kill, kill, kill, ah, ah, ah." Just do the Friday 13th thing. Just to be like, "Hey, welcome to Sheboygan, new girls." And the teacher's like, "Mr. Christian, go back to your seat." He's like, "Okay." And he crawls back, and he taps me again. "Excuse me," because he had to slide for him to get back. And that is how I met Scott Christian. And then by the end of that class, Scott Christian said, "Hey, you know what? I'm running a D&D campaign. Do you want to play?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll play." And that is how we started to be friends. And then we were able to play football and wrestle together. And also, yes, they were desperately seeking Susan Smart and Evan. And also, we wrestled in college together and pledged the same fraternity. And we are lifelong pals ever since. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your experience as a high school educator and as a coach. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And now I get the honor of just booting your ass because I don't know how to go back to the green room. So
It'll be the first time for you. First time.
You're getting thrown out by the little man. Thrown out by the little man. Good day, sir.
Good day.
Go back to Maine, and then I got an end meeting for all. Okay, Scott Christian has been sent to the bench, y'all. Sent to the bench. Oh, that was very fun. It's that went longer than we expected, but I'm sure Steve the Iceberg Ricky Berg will trim it up for us. Those of you watching live or watching the video after the fact, we're about to roll into our second podcast, live podcast recording. We're going to do it right now. Shoot, I forgot. You know, it's okay. This is how much we love the program. These were our high school football helmets. And one of my teammates, PJ Lindeman, made this for me like 20 years after we played football at Cheboygan. For those of you listening at home, this is basically the University of Michigan football helmet, except it's a black helmet with white stripes and a bright orange wing instead of it all being yellow or maize, as they call it. And I still have my high school football jerseys. I pulled them out. I forgot to get them because Scott Christian was such a captivating guest, so much knowledge. But like this shit, high school football at Cheboygan High School, is still, I think about it every single day in one way or another. And I'm willing to bet that most of the guys I played high school football with, it's the same thing for them. So we're all very sad for our particular, that loss of memory. And even though people don't follow the program day to day, knowing it's out there, knowing there are kids going through that program, knowing they're representing Cheboygan High School is a very big deal to us. But hopefully it'll be back next year, and hopefully they'll get this thing rebooted. I see the black curtain moving, which means my wife is coming in to sit down, and we're gonna talk about another crazy football story. This is not a football only podcast, although there's an enormous amount of football. Dawn says, "What was your high school mascot?" Unfortunately, it is the Cheboygan Chiefs, and I hopefully at this point they're starting to spread that around a little bit. Like it could be a chieftain of a Scottish tribe, or it could be chief. It's still a big C with an Indian headdress on it. Relatively unfortunate, but that's what it is. Thanks, Peanut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Guys, watching at home or after the fact, we're getting queued up for our next one. Baby, can you bring those jerseys in real quick?
Yep.
For those that have stuck around, we'll show them. New window. There it is.
Pretty hot in here.
Yeah, I think the sound was off, but I think you got it fixed there.
Yeah, you left the noisemaker on.
I did?
I just turned it off.
Oh, thanks. Great. So, okay, so we're going to
Hey, Sean, nice to see you.
Get A squared away here. So I just want to share this with you guys. This is my high school football jersey for my senior year. And I was super proud of this because I wore this at Sigler Fest, and I could still fit in it 25 years after graduate high school. Cannot say the same thing for Scott Christian. And Danny Baker, I think could fit in his, but I'm not sure. But I was super proud. I can't fit it anymore, but I'm working on it. So I'll take that. And then this is the real McCoy. This is our game jersey from when we were in the playoffs. You can see the Michigan High School Athletic Association 1986 semifinalist. I was a junior. Danny Baker was a junior. Scott Christian was a senior. And look at that, worn out, the old number 6. And we're going to, you look good in that, baby.
I'm not in it.
Also, if a girl wore your jersey to school, that was a big deal. That was a very serious, big deal. But I have kept those my entire life. That's 35 years ago. And that's how much the program, my experience in that program mean to me, that I still have all of this stuff from when I played high school football. I wasn't a starter. I wasn't going to college. We had to be up by 30 points before I got in the game. 30 points.
Can I have both of these?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, baby. Hold on. You talking the mic, you should be there.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Can you hear yourself?
Nope. I can't hear myself.
I can talk again.
Test 1 2, test
Okay.
1 2.
So I know what happened. Okay, let me get it for you. Hold on, guys, 1 sec.
I can live without it too.
No,
That's
it's
better.
just I turned the headphones down the other day when you were working. You're coming across loud and clear, sweetie. 1 sec.
I'm apparently coming across loud and clear. I can't hear myself. But Sean says, oh, now I can. Now I can. Sean says he can hear me just fine.
Yes, I just turned down the volume on your headphones. That's all.
Okay.
I'm dying in here too. Okay, we need air more than we need anything else.
Can I have that,
Sure.
please?
This right here?
Yeah.
You want the keyboard too?
No, just this. I just need to see what Jason was saying.
Oh, here we go. Got it. That was so fun. Christian's
Yeah, it was
so-
such a, yeah.
You know, it's like, you don't, when you talk Scott Christian on the daily, you're like, I mean, he's pretty smart. But when he's in a professional mode, clearly, he's a very smart guy. Okay, everybody, now we're going to get into part 2. Should I stop, save this? Have a drink? I'm emotional.
Yeah,
I'm emotional.
it's been really interesting. I've been chatting with my friends this week as you're chatting with your friends this week about this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of really interesting for me as a person who never played team sports in high school because I was born with bad kidneys. So I don't have this, I learned to deal with conflict. I learned how to deal with authority. I learned how to interact at a team level so that the team thrives. I didn't learn any of that on a team sport in any way. But watching Scott and his friends, his lifelong friends, mourn this moment in Cheboygan High School football has been really interesting because, you haven't. It's been this wildly nuanced. Can I have the script too over here?
Oh, of course.
This wildly nuanced kind of experience for them where they're like, okay, well, I kind of get like it's player safety. I sort of get that. It's not gone for good. I sort of get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also heartbreaking. And that makes perfect sense. It really does.
Yeah, it's super, super upsetting.
How could it not be? And you guys had such a formative year, as did, you guys were also intimately closer to the success of the team in general because your dad was leading the charge. So you guys sort of had an inside baseball, sorry for the mixing of the sports, but you had an inside baseball take about it too.
Danny Baker in the chat room earlier, I missed a chance to say this, but we played Escanaba, which was a Class A school. So the top population level, we played high school. We were Class B. The first time we played Escanaba, there were 10,000 people at the game. And we're from a town that Rob Otto posted. The entire town was 5,200 people.
And there were 10,000 people.
And this is Cheboygan County. Like, that was a massive area, and we had 10,000 people at a football game.
And you guys, you guys know I've been to Cheboygan. I've been to Cheboygan only as an adult since 2019, I think, or 2018, I think, was the first time I went. And there are towns that he talks about playing against or, having intramurals or whatever with that are literal drive-through towns. They have one road. Topanabee, Michigan has one road.
One road.
Through it.
Yep.
That's it. I don't think they have a whole school, though. But
Topanabee has a school. I couldn't tell you. I don't think
probably not a high school. Yeah,
No,
that
they
probably
were
went
never
into the
high
greater Cheboygan area high schools or whatever. But
Petoskey, Gaylord,
Inland
Grayling,
something?
St. Ignace.
St. Ignace.
The hated St. Ignace Saints. Always the season opener against the St. Ignace Saints. And you would have my dad and all the other coaches like, St. Ignace is talking horrible thing. They say you're a bunch of pumpkin farmers. They say you're not smart enough to tie your own shoes. They told me, now don't tell anybody this, but I read this in the paper. They say your inbred sister had to tie your shoes for you. You don't have an inbred sister, Danny Baker. How are you going to stand for that? Are you going to get on that line, do another sprint? Are we going to go get those Saints? That's what it was. It was crazy. It was crazy fun.
It's such an interesting thing, though, because you guys are not talking about how dare they get rid of football in Cheboygan.
Okay.
You're talking about what players are going to miss and what skill sets that you guys have literally taken, and you know it because you're still friends with a lot of these people.
Hold on. Up now. Does this sound any better, you guys? Let me know. Continue your point. 1 sec. Continue, babe. His teammates, who are his good friends to this day for 40 years, those are people who learned some of the skill sets that they use every day as a parent, as a coach, as an employee, as a boss, as a whatever. Every day they learned in high school amongst these teammates. So I get it, but it's also been really lovely as an outsider to sort of watch you guys lament the opportunity for those kids. Yeah.
And not just grouse about how dare they do this, because that's really the thing that you're missing. That's the heartbreak.
No, we're not mad at anybody. We're just like, it was just like
such a lovely
I'm pretty sure that Dan, Rob, Paul, Jeff, the other Scott, a lot of Scotts in our town. We just honestly don't know we don't know how we would have turned out without football. We have no idea.
And we're not currently recording this, but before we start the next episode, I will say, as a complete outsider going to Cheboygan, and Cheboygan is still a very small town.
Yeah, lovely but small.
I have been with Scott and Rob, and I have been with people that Scott grew up with in that town, and other players or other people who were in school when Scott and Robbie were in school. We will be on our last night of the writers retreat. We would go out to dinner and drinks and whatever. And like people would walk up and go, "Oh my God, is that Robbie and Scott?" Like 35 years later. And they would immediately Chad, what was his name? Chad Anderson.
Ando. Yeah.
Ando literally walked up pounding his chest at a wine bar, which in itself is new in Sheboygan. At a wine bar in Sheboygan,
that's
he came
very
up
new.
pounding his chest, doing some locker room something
I
that
know
they
Rob's
did.
still in the room, but I think Rob will remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, they
it was
did
great.
like 35 years ago in school. They did some kind of, I don't know, routine or something where they were, yes.
Well,
Chiefs,
Chad
Chiefs.
played football, and I played football with Chad, and Rob wrestled, and Chad wrestled. So it's basically that was largely wrestling.
It
What
was
a
really
fucking
fun.
great
It was
guy.
this very,
It's phenomenal.
very like homegrown,
I'm
hometown pride.
I'm delighted right now remembering that moment.
It was
absolutely
lovely.
amazing.
I was a little shocked because I did not have that experience growing up because I went to a much bigger school.
Yeah, much
so,
bigger. So in the chat room, Chris Grull asks, do the seniors and juniors get to play for other schools? I don't know. I think there are schools drivable in the region, but Sheboygan's a very rural area. So if they have the opportunity to play for another school, which they wouldn't have if Sheboygan had football, they couldn't do it because it's a public school, not a private school. Michigan is private schools are allowed to bring in players from other areas. Public schools are not. Yes?
I will say that I did a little research on this trying to help them out for that script. And I will say at the moment, the Michigan's rules for high school students probably don't allow that at the last minute is the problem. They need to submit for review their plan to make sure these students' academics keep academicking and that they can get safely to and from wherever they would play otherwise. And that normally takes 9 to 12 months to get approved through the system. So they are looking into options like that. They also looked into an 8-on-8 team.
That I can speak to. They next year, if they bring varsity football back, it'll probably be 8-man football. But you can't go from 11-man when you have a schedule to play other teams with 11 men. Now we're going to be 8-man football. The schools you have scheduled they're not going to switch for you, and the people who are playing 8-man football already have their schedule.
Right, and they can't just insert someone from a different school district without going through the administration, and that takes 8 to 12 months is what I'm reading. I will say one other thing. These players, these actual players and the coaches, they went on July 29th. They went to a 3-day football camp. They were in it to win it until literally Thursday last week. It's heartbreaking.
At their age, getting ready for varsity football, I'm emotional right now. It's been decades.
It was hard.
That is your life. You are working nonstop, watching what you eat. You're in the weight room. You're sprinting
Getting
on your
ready
own
for football.
before you even go to practice. You eat, breathe, and sleep that sport, and you can't wait to get on that field and prove your mettle against other people who are doing the same thing. It is everything. It is everything, and it was snatched away from them.
And I will say, I did a handful of reading there in the Cheboygan Daily Register, I think is the newspaper.
Cheboygan Daily Tribune.
Tribune, thank you. There is a wonderful, wonderful sports reporter who is truly, he lives in Cheboygan. He truly loves sports in general. I read a bunch of his articles today. His name is Jacob Greenleaf, and he said it really, really well. He was like, my heart breaks for literally everyone who is part of this organization, all the students, all the coaches, the administrators who tried to figure out a way out of this. He really understood, like, it's true, 2 weeks ago, they were gunning for a football season, every single one of them. And they worked as hard as they could all summer to bulk up, to get in trim, to do whatever they needed to do. And the right answer because of injuries was, yeah, we can't safely do this, and we're not risk. It is too much of a risk for these kids'
and
future.
the administration had to make that decision, and the coach has no choice. Hold on.
Such a heartbreak.
All right, we're going to get to the next episode, but there was a question here from Mr. Everett who said, did having your dad as a coach, did it make you have higher expectations? I think that's a whole episode. We should try and get my brother Irv. My brother Irv.
Oh, I'd love that.
It'd be great. My brother Irv, lovely, lovely human. Football high school coach, track coach, teacher.
Great dad, great man.
He's still, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. He raised 4 amazing, 2 nephews, 2 nieces. Love him to death. He
also
was
a good papa now.
Yeah, he's a grandpa now. He was a very good high school football player and wanted to play college at Alma in Michigan and Adrian University in Michigan. And it was really, really rough for him playing football because my dad is a coach, and my dad was an exceptional athlete and football player when he was a young man. The expectations of my brother were through the roof, and it was, caveat, the expectations of, I know how hard you can work. I know how athletically talented you are. I know how much you can endure. This is my dad's perspective. And you are not living up to those three things. My dad did not have some ridiculous expectation my brother was going to go be a pro running back in the NFL. My dad was like, you are not living up to what you have in you right now. It was so rough for him. When I came in, I was 98 pounds my freshman year of football, 98 pounds. And my junior year of football, I was 119 pounds. I wrestled 126, and I got to weigh in a full fucking sweatsuit with the headgear and a bagged lunch, which I did just to piss off the other guys who were going to wind up over my ass.
And that was 126?
That I was wrestling 126, but I weighed 120. So my expectations were much, much lower. I really only got in trouble in high school when I didn't take shit seriously because I had an impression of my dad. I had impressions of all the other coaches.
He had an impression of his mom.
Telling
who
jokes
was
to my
also a
friends,
teacher.
doing impressions of my mom because I wasn't in the game. I was like having a good time, goofing off with Scott Christian, my buddies, and Danny Baker. And I only got in trouble when that part got out of hand because everyone knew I was not a starting anything in junior, senior year. So, no, my expectations were perfectly fine. My dad was great.
Why don't you get this set up for our next
go.
one? Jason on YouTube, I want to say thank you so much for joining and being so proactive and contributory tonight.
Yeah,
it is
dude.
lovely to have you. Your experience, I have never played team sports in my life, so your experience is very akin to what I see from Scott and his friends, and I'm so glad that you joined. Chris Grawl, I will say, if there's a way to keep the program working, they are doing JV this year, and the seniors who are on who were on the varsity team can play the JV if they want to.
Can they?
They can.
Oh,
Because there is no varsity program, but they are working to see what they can do. And they are actually working, from what I understand, the Cheboygan area school system is reaching out to, for the seniors anyway, who are not going to be able to play their final year.
Yeah.
Reaching out to see what they can do for
oh my God,
state level or state colleges and stuff like that to see if they can at least get reps or do something like that. Nothing that I found today says that that's actually happening yet, but they are working very hard. They understand what a loss this is.
Danny Baker in the chat room says, in our junior year in the state playoffs, we practice on gravel in the bus garage. Deep in the winter, we give everything.
Yeah.
Honey, if we can remember this, I think a dramatized Game of Thrones recounting of Danny and Rob and I's junior year would be spectacular because you have to keep in mind the reason we practiced in the bus garage, you guys, because there was 7 feet of snow on our practice field.
Dan, if you can text me that.
7 feet of snow. Who lives in a place where there's 7 feet of? Oh, sorry, I got a little crazy.
If you can text me that so that we actually talk about that in the next few weeks, that would be great. Do you want to set up?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. We're ready to go. I didn't start a new one. Steve's gonna have to do his job.
Okay. Do you want to see if I think the dogs are right there. Do you want to see if they come in before? Because I think they're whining. They're outside.
Yes, got it, honey.
And then he married someone who has never played a team sport in their entire life. Nobody?
They're not there.
Oh, I
Yes,
thought I heard
I
something.
know. I know. You never played a team sport, but also. Hold on, I gotta switch over to the other camera. When it comes to ranged weapons, she's very accurate. Archery, firearms.
Not on this.
Not entirely sure about knives. I have not experienced they or hatchets.
Axes is not bad though. I'm an accurate person. I'm an accurate.
Just because the redhead from Manhattan did not play team sports does not mean you should be free with your disrespect. Because we've been to the shooting range with her, Chris Grawl and I.
Chris was.
Yes.
Chris was pleased that I am an accurate human.
I am a polite man in this house for reasons. Okay, ready to go?
I am ready to go.
All right.
I need the script up though.
I'm working on it. God damn. God damn. I said god damn.
You said, am I ready? Yeah.
Here we go. Ready for the
Yep.
dramatic? Okay. All right. We start
let's
recording.
record.
Hold on. Oop. Boy, I'm glad you had me check that, sweetheart. Good job. Okay, let's do hold on, I got to do a sound check. Let me check. Don't say anything yet. With pretty mouth. Okay, go ahead.
Check.
Okay, I think Steve.
There we go.
That.
That's what I was working
You ready?
on. Yep.
Today we have college football drama. And you don't need to understand college football or American football or the gridiron game to understand this particular weird as hell drama. We have a Heisman Trophy winner, the award given to the greatest player of American football and college in the country. We have a 5-star recruit, which means he could be the greatest player coming up. And we have a promise. We have a betrayal. We have a dialogue, a diatribe, and we have a jersey number. We have a new head coach who inherited somebody else's sloppy mess. And then the lawyers got involved, and nobody wants that. This is a crazy story in the world of American football.
Indeed, we have all of that. And we'll get into it right after this quick break.
Great write-up, baby. Solid work. Here you go, ready? I use my fucking movie guy voice, and now my voice is a little fried. Hold on.
Great job, baby.
Great job, darling. Here we go. Let's get ready to go into it. Here we go. Recluse Mage, nobody wants those sloppy seconds. Let's not kink shame. Some people do. Here we go. Welcome to Scott Sigler Slices. I am Scott Sigler, a sci-fi, horror, and very importantly for this case, a sports fiction author.
And I am A.B. Sigler, audiobook narrator and publisher at Empty Set Entertainment. And tonight, we're talking about Jayden Daniels and LSU and the hubbub over the number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, Jayden Daniels, if you don't know, he plays for the Commanders. He is one of the greatest football players in LSU history.
And LSU
No
is
question.
Louisiana State University.
No question, he is one of the winningest, greatest players in LSU's history. He wore number 5. He won the Heisman Trophy wearing number 5.
Let me interrupt. The Heisman Trophy, again, is the ultimate award in college football. The Heisman means you are accepted by the press and the populace and other players as the best player in that sport in college in the country.
He left LSU. He graduated from LSU. He went to the NFL. He was drafted second in the draft, second overall in the draft. And LSU did not give the number 5 to anyone in the 2 seasons since he's been gone. Then, this year, LSU gave it to sophomore cornerback. Not quarterback, not offense, cornerback.
Now, this is important. We have to define this because even though I've watched football my entire fucking life, from my first memory as a human being, it was watching football. This gets confusing. A quarterback is the guy who takes a snap, drops back, runs the whole offense. Peyton Manning, that kind of thing. A cornerback, and big difference, a cornerback is a defensive back who's on the outside, who's usually responsible for covering the best player on the team that the quarterback wants to throw to. So there you go.
So LSU gave number 5 to its sophomore cornerback, DJ Pickett. And Jayden Daniels was not happy, is not happy. So Jayden Daniels and his team and his attorneys sent LSU a cease and desist letter telling the university it could no longer use Daniels' name, image, or likeness all over a jersey number.
And this gets into some, hold on, shit.
Jersey numbers are absolutely a big deal. So the question for us is
I got screwed up with this. Steve doesn't need that. Just go up to jersey numbers are a big deal.
Well, I'm just going to do over a jersey number then.
Got
okay.
Mm-hmm.
All over a jersey number.
And jersey numbers are a huge, huge deal for the young men and women who play these sports. And this brings up a very weird question.
Super weird.
At Louisiana State University, who owns number 5, the jersey number 5.
Now, at the top of this episode, Scott said, we're going to get into it. Why is it a big, all that stuff. But this is true. Who owns the number 5 on a jersey at LSU football? Is it the legend, Jayden Daniels, who absolutely made number 5 famous and wears number 5 in the NFL for the Washington Commanders?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Is it the school whose uniform he wore, LSU?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the current player that Louisiana State University promised number 5 to get him to come to Louisiana State University?
You got my word, son. You got my word. If you come to LSU, you're going to get to wear number 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So first things first. Why does Jayden Daniels think he's earned this kind of preferential treatment?
Okay, so you guys know I'm relatively new compared to my husband to football, but absolutely, Jayden Daniels is not just some player on the LSU team who's like, hey, that's my number. I don't want you to be. Not at all. He transferred from Arizona State in 2022. Then in 2023, y'all, in 2023, playing LSU football, he absolutely went supernova. Absolutely supernova. He threw 3,812 yards. He had 40 touchdown passes. He had 4 interceptions.
That's insane.
And yet it's not the crazy thing. And then after all of that, he also rushed for 1,134 yards and 10 more touchdowns rushing. That brings his total in 2023 to 50 touchdowns accounted for. Are you
It's crazy town. It's crazy town.
He led the nation in 2023 in college football in total offense, passer rating, yards per pass attempt, and rushing yards by a quarterback. And that year, he also won the Heisman Trophy.
I think he deserved it.
Which is college football's most prestigious individual award. He became only the 3rd LSU player in LSU's history ever to win the Heisman Trophy, joining Billy Cannon, the only player in LSU history whose name or his number and jersey has been retired, the only single one. This will be important later. And also Joe Burrow.
So it is... You got to keep in mind that Louisiana State University is one of the dominant college football programs in America. And 3 people from that university have won the Heisman. So you are talking about a person who enters the NFL, dominates in the NFL, also crushed my Lions in the playoffs, which broke my heart. So screw this asshole. I don't like him. On the field, I don't like him. But professionally... So this is not necessarily a prima donna, irrational situation we are talking about here. The man has earned his flowers at the collegiate level.
Listen, I had to do the work here. I will give you a single game example. I will give all of you a single game example because I had to do the research here to learn about it because Scott knows everything about football. I know nothing about football. Here we go. He did not remotely... This was not an irrational belief in any way, shape, or form. He absolutely deserves this. I will give you one game. November 11th, 2023. It's LSU against Florida. Jayden Daniels throws for 372 yards. He ran another 234 yards. 606 yards of offense from one tiny human, but one young human being. What? He became the first player in major college football history to pass for at least 350 yards and rush for at least 200 in the exact same game.
That's an ass whooping.
606 yards was also an SEC record for total offense in a game. He's absolutely ridiculous. He's absurd. He's such a machine.
Okay, so for those of you who don't understand the sport of American football, and there are many of you, because it's very complicated, the stats that A just listed, I would say in entertainment perspective, that means you have won the Golden Globe, the Academy Award, and then you did in the BAFTA in one movie, and then that same year, you had another movie where you won the Golden Globe, the Academy Award, and the BAFTA for Best Supporting Actor or Actress. It's It is a staggering achievement what this young man accomplished in that particular game.
Yeah. And in 2026 movie parlance, Jayden Daniels is absolutely Mr. Zendaya Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Who is
which
doing all
bank,
the things at once,
straight
right?
Bang. So he did all of that while wearing the number 5.
Exactly. And number 5 becomes part of Jayden Daniels' brand. As I just mentioned, he wears number 5 for the Commanders right now in the NFL.
Yep.
Then he graduates in 2023. In 2024, LSU doesn't give anybody the number.
Okay.
They don't give it to anybody in 2025.
Okay.
So if you're Jayden Daniels and his family, maybe you sort of start to understand or feel like,
that
okay,
shit is
they're
mine.
not right.
That's
LSU
my yard.
gets it. This is 5 is for Jayden. Like they get it, right? Except LSU absolutely had a different plan.
Well, there's a lot of different plans involved. And right now, a college program's job is to bring in the best possible talent they can, both at the coaching level and especially at the player level. And to get the grade A blue chip 5-star athletes into your program in college, sometimes you have to promise them certain things because they're a commodity. They're a commodity. Like I could play at Alabama, University of Michigan. I could play at LSU. Everybody wants me. What are you going to do for me? What? And this young man.
What's your plan?
Your plan is, and this young man's name is DJ Pickett, D.J. Pickett. He was a 5-star cornerback recruit. And he had one particular demand, which was, I'll come to LSU if I get number 5. Why? Because that was my number in high school, and my identity revolves around my formative years coming up and becoming an exceptional player, and I wore number 5. LSU, will you give me number 5? And I think we're going to get into what the answer was as we go. Yeah.
This is where Jayden Daniels' wonderfully simple story at LSU starts to get a little bit complicated because DJ Pickett, as Scott says, has a beautiful story of his own.
Mm-hmm.
Not only high school, he hasn't been wearing the number 5 since high school. He's been wearing the number 5, DJ Pickett, since he was 4 years old.
Oh, my God.
4 years old.
How do you play football 4 years old?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my God. Wow. That is crazy. So we're going to talk about this multi-threaded, many influences, and possibly no right or wrong, but it all feels a little bit yucky at the end. Right after the break, we're going to meet the kid standing between a Heisman winner and his number. And wait until you hear more drama about the goddamn number 5.
Absolutely. Welcome back to Scott Sigler Slices. Okay, Scott, who is DJ Pickett?
Well, DJ Pickett at this point in time is an LSU, Louisiana State University. He is a cornerback. For football beginners, we talked about this at the beginning of the episode, but I'll refresh quickly. A cornerback is the defensive player whose main job is covering receivers and preventing completions of passes. Okay, so this is if you have what's called a shutdown corner, which means if he's on the right side, we're not throwing to the right side, we're taking away the entire side of the field. This apparently is DJ's potential is to be a shutdown corner, and he was a huge, huge recruit. He's a 5-star prospect.
Can you tell us what that means? Because I had to ask you what a 5-star means.
Yes. So there's 2-star ratings, 2 different star ratings. Number 1 is a 5-star at your position, which means you're in the top 20 to 30 of all the players in that position. And there's a general 5-star, which means he's so good. He's in the top 20, 30 players available to be recruited in any university in the entire nation. So this is an exceptionally talented, probably extraordinarily hardworking young man. So he was recruited by LSU. He arrived at LSU in 2025 and wore number 3 as a freshman. But according to him, number 5 is the number that really matters to him. He's worn it, as A mentioned, since he was 4 years old.
And that absolutely complicates things. It absolutely does damage this cease and desist letter from Daniel's side a little bit, because during DJ Pickett's recruiting in 2023, which is the year that Jayden Daniels was graduating, DJ Pickett was being scouted to come to LSU. He comes in 2024 to LSU, but according to Pickett and his family, and also corroborated from LSU, LSU told DJ Pickett, come here, play, you can have the number 5. They told him that as part of their recruitment strategy. And the coach who recruited him corroborates that. And LSU corroborates that. That is part of the deal that they made
Coach
with
Kelly.
him.
Coach Kelly.
That was Coach Brian Kelly who made that deal. But we're going to get into this because
it's so messy, you guys. It's so messy. And keep in mind, a lot of people, a lot of hot takes on this topic in the world of college and pro football. A and I do not have a hot take. A and I
we don't.
are seasoned journalists who are observing the world around us and reporting it to you. So that is the mess. Pickett did not steal this number. But at the same time, LSU told Jayden Daniels, who was big money for LSU. When he won the Heisman, people were buying them jerseys. People were buying all the merch. People were and they were getting 5-star recruits because Jayden Daniels had them on primetime television all the time. They told him effectively, Jayden, my man, your number is special. And LSU told DJ, you know what, son? Come here and play, and you can have that number 5.
This is exactly the mess that LSU is in. Pickett didn't steal anything. He didn't insist on anything.
Yeah.
He literally came to LSU because they said, if it's important to you, of course you can have this number. He didn't try to pick off Jayden Daniels' number. He didn't try to steal valor or grace from Jayden Daniels. He literally said, I would love to come to play for you, but I want to play my whole life. I want to play number 5.
It was that important to him. He's like, I will come to university, but you got to give me number 5.
And he was a teenager. He was 17 years old when LSU says, sure, come to LSU. You can have this number. It's really important to you. I feel like that if you make a promise to a 17-year-old kid to convince him to come play for your university, you should probably keep that promise.
I agree. And this is where shit starts to get very, very complicated, okay? So when you are a head football coach at a Division I university, you are God, in effect. You control a lot. If you're a head football coach at a SEC university, you are God +1, and you run the entire program with an iron fist. So Brian Kelly, who was the coach at the time that young Mr. DJ got recruited, promised young Mr. DJ, yes, I guarantee you got number 5, and then this young man who could go to any university he wants to play football at, and they will all give him a full ride. He says, okay, great. That was my one demand. I'm going to come play for the Tigers, right?
Absolutely correct. This is exactly what happens. So as Scott mentions, Brian Kelly is the head coach for football at LSU when DJ Pickett gets drafted. Or it's not drafted.
Gets recruited.
Recruited.
Big difference, yeah.
Brian Kelly has acknowledged that Pickett was promised number 5, 100%. But when Pickett arrived, he says, okay, I'll sign with you so I can still be number 5. He had other options, but he chose LSU.
Dozens of offers.
He doesn't get that number. Kelly himself, Brian Kelly, doesn't give it to him because...
Well, Kelly's gone at that point, right?
No. When he first shows up, Brian Kelly is there. Brian Kelly gets fired that season. So he gets fired in 2024. But when he shows up, Brian Kelly, who promised him number 5, says, here's your jersey. It's number 3. You have no say.
Because 5 is protected at that point.
So Pickett, freshman, wants to play college football, wears number 3 as a freshman.
As a good man does.
Literally is like, bros, you promised me number 5. Brian Kelly, the coach, who is now no longer at LSU, has also said Daniels' objection to Pickett, Jayden Daniels' objection to DJ Pickett wearing number 5 so close to Jayden Daniels' graduation, which was in 2 years later, or 3 years later, actually. But still, Jayden Daniels graduates in 2023. DJ Pickett starts playing for LSU in 2025.
Okay.
Brian Kelly says, that is part of the reason. Jayden Daniels was upset about it, so we didn't give him number 5, we gave him number 3.
Right.
But then Brian Kelly complicates things by also saying, well, also, Joe Burrow, also in the NFL, also a quarterback, also quite winning. We haven't given his number out again either. Joe Burrow's number was number 9. This is tangential, but it matters.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelly sort of complicates, muddies the waters by saying, well, we also haven't given away Joe Burrow's number. But that's true. LSU, to this moment, has never issued, since Joe Burrow played there, a number 9 again. So Brian Kelly feels like Jayden Daniels deserves the same respect that he thinks Joe Burrow has.
So I understand what A is saying, that Brian Kelly thinks Jayden deserves the same respect that Joe Burrow is getting. We're going to get into Joe Burrow in a moment. At the same time, Brian Kelly is the one who promised DJ the number 5. So this is much deeper than this episode, that Brian Kelly is not necessarily a man of his word. We're going to leave it at that and go from there. So this sounds respectful, but Brian Kelly said, yes, young man, you can have this number, and then said, no, young man, you cannot have that number. So it sounds respectful, but what do you think about that?
I mean, I think this is where the institution kind of created its own problem.
Okay.
I don't think this is... You could protect the number 5 for Jayden Daniels if you want to. You could promise the number 5 to DJ Pickett if you want to. But doing both is eventually going to result in this particular awkward situation. Mm-hmm. And then Brian Kelly gets fired and leaves
Brian
LSU.
Kelly gets fired. LSU is a prominent program in American college football. And if you are not competing for a national title, you are going to be ejected, fired, you're going to be replaced. And he's been replaced by Lane Kiffin. So the new head coach, Lane Kiffin, arrives. Kiffin inherits this situation where a 17-year-old, phenomenally talented, hardworking young man has been promised a thing and then told he can't have this thing. And Kiffin, who I'm not a fan of, by the way, Kiffin is trying to figure out where is the integrity in this situation. And Lane Kiffin and his guys are like, the integrity is, I want this young man playing cornerback for the Tigers. End of story. So he inherits this unexpected time bomb, checks in the situation. He determines that, yes, LSU did promise this number. It's a number. It's a jersey number, you guys. He promises jersey number 5 to Pickett, and Kiffin decides, and side note, if you really know college football, the words that come out of my mouth right now are going to sound ludicrous to you. Lane Kiffin decides that LSU is going to honor the promise, and Pickett gets the number 5. Drama commence now.
Absolutely. And I do have to say, I understand Kiffin's position, right? He inherited this unexploded little landmine. Mm-hmm. And is like, I'm not taking any heat for this. He was promised. There's another little wrinkle here. I do think Lane Kiffin kind of looked at the rules for retiring a number at LSU, which is wildly proscribed, mm-hmm. and decides, I am not taking this heat, and gives him the number. So I like his position.
There's much more to come soon. This is a shockingly, incredibly complicated situation for a digit. I mean, so...
I do like Lane Kiffin's position.
I understand. But if you have followed college football for a while, Lane Kiffin's job is to win football games. So Lane Kiffin, his morals are always going to fall on who is on my team right now that can help me win football games and be successful. So A likes Lane Kiffin's position. I understand
this decision.
Well,
I'm not sure I love Lane Kiffin.
This is such a 50-50.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's integrity. It's hard to say that word with Lane Kiffin's name in my mouth. Lane Kiffin's integrity in this situation. He didn't make the promise. He didn't create the conflict, but he is running the program, and his position is basically, hey, LSU gave this kid the university's word. LSU is going to keep its word. And if it was anybody but Lane Kiffin, I would say it's pretty hard to argue against. So,
But you have actually educated me a lot here. We do need to talk about Joe Burrow. If you guys don't know why I'm talking about Joe Burrow also played for LSU, and this matters because Jayden Daniels and Joe Burrow are both currently in the NFL.
Yes,
this
as
absolutely
quarterbacks.
matters
Yep.
as quarterbacks because this is the thing that Jayden Daniels keeps running into like in the court of the internet. And you really helped me a lot here understand this.
Yeah. And so, guys, keep listening. Keep listening because there's so many layers to this crazy football onion. We're not even to the good stuff yet. It already sounds good. So this is where I want to be fair to Jayden Daniels. There are real similarities.
There really are.
Joe Burrow and Jayden Daniels both played football for Louisiana State University, LSU. They both transferred into LSU. They were both dominant college quarterbacks. They both played 2 seasons at LSU. Both men won the Heisman. Both became extremely high NFL picks at quarterback, which means they're guaranteed to be multimillionaires, generational wealth for the rest of their life.
How did they draft?
Burrow went number 1. He was the number 1 pick in his year when he came in.
And
Daniels was number 2 overall, which is those are basically the same thing.
I do have to bring up right now because this is what the internet will bring up if you Google this. But LSU hasn't given anyone Burrow's number 9 since he left. I will say, Jayden Daniels graduated in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow graduated in 2019.
2019. So, yes, no one's had Joe Burrow's number yet. We're going to get into that in a moment. But has Joe Burrow's name been officially retired? No. Let's go. So Daniels looks at Joe Burrow's and says, why is his number sacred and not mine? Which is a legitimate question for a dominant, hardworking,
100%.
brilliant, exceptional athlete. No question. But there's an enormous difference between these two young men. Joe Burrow's 2019 team went 15-0, undefeated, national champions, glory brought to the Louisiana State University Tigers, and that team is now part of the LSU mythology. And Daniels won the Heisman in 2023, but, back up. Yes, I had that right.
You did.
Daniels won the Heisman in 2023, but Daniels, as a starting quarterback, and all the responsibility falls on the coach and the starting QB, they finished 10-3. And while his individual season was absolutely historic, Burrow's individual season becomes an almost unassailable bulwark in the mythos of all of college football. Joe Burrow's senior year is unparalleled.
If you Google, do it if you want to test me. If you Google what was the perfect college football season in American college football, every single result, almost every single result, if not every single result, it will be Joe Burrow at LSU in the 15-0 season was the perfect college football season.
It was straight fucking Hollywood, you guys. It was crazy.
So my posit is this. The question really isn't, was Daniels as good as Burrow?
Okay.
Right?
That is not the question because you're different teams, different coaches, different systems, different opponents who all have various different teams. It's too simplistic to say was one better than the other.
Sure. Yeah.
The better question is what earns permanent protection for a digit or 2 digits? Is it the Heisman? Is it being one of the greatest players in the school's history, which both were? Is it a national championship? The treasured, rarefied air of this sport. Is it a perfect season? Incredibly rare. Is it number 9 being protected because Joe Burrow was extraordinary? Or because 2019, the entire LSU program, the coach, the assistant coaches, the university, all the other players, the amazing talent, that was also beyond, it was a perfect combination of a college football team. And here's the thing, guys. There is no objective answer to, was Joe Burrow a better quarterback than Jayden Daniels? There's no answer.
And you guys, there's even a stranger LSU rule that we haven't talked about yet that absolutely plays with all of this.
Yes. And this is my favorite part, because LSU can, if they choose, eventually retire Jayden Daniels' jersey and still give the number to someone else.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Welcome to college football, where, again, the name of the game in college football is hire the best coach for the university and then get the best talent into your program.
After this quick break, we will explain how you can retire a number without actually retiring the number. Back right after this. Okay, Scott, let's talk about this. Let's talk about retired number versus retired jersey.
Now, this is getting at the edges of my understanding of, I'm a rational person, I'm a logical person, but college football is neither rational nor logical. It is strictly about winning and making money. So usually, when sports fan hear a number is, I'm making the quote fingers for you guys listening home, is retired, end quote fingers, it means nobody else gets to wear it ever. That number goes up in the stadium wall, and that, my friends, that is it. It belongs to one legend forever. And LSU, though, makes a distinction between retiring a player's jersey and permanently removing the number from circulation. Those are different things to LSU.
This is insane, and that is absolutely correct. I will tell you right now, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can retire a jersey, but not a number. But LSU in 2007, they changed their bylaws for this specific problem in 2007, and this is relevant today. Under those new rules, when LSU retires a football player's jersey, the head coach can generally still let another player wear that number. How it kind of works at LSU right now is if a decision is made to retire a jersey, which has proscribed rules for petitioning that idea, if there is anyone currently wearing that number, the coach on that team can choose to let them wear that number.
So if like you got the number and then it gets retired, you can continue your career with that number.
You can continue your career with that number. And I guess supposedly there's not going to be a new player who gets assigned that number, but that I don't know about. I will say there is one retired jersey and number in LSU's history, and that belongs to Billy Cannon, who also won the Heisman. So that is the one and only jersey/number that has been retired. There will never be another player in LSU history that has the number 20, and that is the only number, 20, that will never be reassigned currently. But LSU this year is retiring legendary quarterback Burt Jones, right? He was number 7 at LSU, and he is slated to have his jersey retired this November.
My head hurts.
But players who are actively wearing 7 right now can still wear 7. Because they are actively already matriculating at LSU and wearing number 7. So they can still wear number 7. LSU's own website explicitly says all of its retired football jersey numbers except Billy Cannon's number 20 can still be worn by current players.
This is, God, you guys, I don't know what to say about this. So at this point, I'm very confused. I'm trying to go by SEC, LSU logic. So even if Jayden Daniels eventually gets his jersey retired, the number 5 jersey retired, somebody could still wear it.
That is true. That, as I understand it, and I have been doing this for 2 days now, trying to figure this out, and I cannot.
I've been watching football for fucking 50 years.
But I've been trying to figure out LSU's rules, so I also can't do it. So yes, that is actually true. If Jayden Daniels wins, or Jayden Daniels gets his number jersey retired, current players can still wear the number 5. And here's the crazy thing. According to LSU's own rules, Jayden Daniels can't even consider asking for a jersey retirement. That's what it's called, a jersey retirement yet, because LSU's own rules require the player who is asking for this consideration for their jersey to be retired. They have to wait 5 years after graduation.
And Jayden
5 years.
Graduated 3 years ago.
He graduated in 2023. So 3 years ago, he can't even ask for this.
Okay.
So this is not a situation where LSU took an officially retired jersey or number, either one.
Right. So
and
LSU's
pulled
in the
it
clear.
out of,
So for another 2 years, they're in the clear.
They didn't do this, but their coach did speak out of both sides of his mouth, I think. So what I want to say is number 5 was never officially retired in any way, shape, or form from LSU.
And we're getting into the legal action in a moment. We're getting into the fucking trials in a moment, which means this whole situation is more emotional than procedural.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And Daniel's argument is about respect, and we're going to get into that more in a moment because it's a multi-layered onion. It's about his legacy, right? It's what he believes that Louisiana State University, what they promised him and his family, and what should he be able to count on the promises made to him by this university. And this is a real issue. So right now, the internet is shitting on Jayden Daniels. And I don't say that's necessarily the wrong approach, but let's be honest. If this man was promised something and the university is rescinding that promise, that is a real issue. This is different from saying that LSU violated some retired number policy. We don't know necessarily what was said, right?
Well, we know they didn't violate a retired number policy. That is, it's publishable. You can look it up. I looked it up.
Which is not in Jayden's favor. Right? True.
But now we get to the cease and desist. This is the thing, right? Because Daniels can't legally own the number 5. I'm going to get to that in a second, but you asked a question.
Yep.
Brian Kelly admits that he told Jayden Daniels, we are not going to use your number again.
It's
like he said that, but he was an official of LSU. He was the head coach.
The leader of the LSU program.
And yet saying that violated LSU's own policy.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
that's very interesting.
Because Daniels can't legally own the number 5, I don't think, right?
Well, he can't own the number 5. And keep in mind, Jayden Daniels, even though as stellar an athlete as he was fucking 19 or 20 years old, right? He's a kid. And the adult in the room tells him a thing, and he agrees to the thing he was told by the adult in the room, by the single leader of that program. That is a real fucking thing. If a person gives you their word, says, I will do this for you if you do this for me, and you say, okay, you expect them to do the thing for you. So not in the sense that Jayden gets to decide who wears LSU's number on that current football team, but that's that. And Jayden Daniels has filed a cease and desist order.
He sent a cease and desist letter to LSU.
To LSU. So this is a more complicated issue. We will get into this in another episode, but name, image, and likeness, NIL, is a new development in the world of college athletics. That means that a young man or young woman who is a stellar athlete who goes to a university can get paid money by the university and by advertisers to, we will pay you because you're the quarterback of LSU and we want you to advertise these things. And the university can pay you. This is a brand new thing. It's ugly. It's brand new. There was a time where you couldn't give money to a college athlete, period. No, full stop, no exceptions. And even though that happened, it was against the rules. So this isn't actually what Jayden Daniels, who sent a cease and desist order to LSU to say, you may not use my name or face or any footage of me at LSU, period, because you have gone back on your word.
That's what I think, right?
Jayden Daniels and his management feels that they were lied to by Louisiana State. And so now he has the right in the legal system and the NCAA to say, hey, you know what? You can't use my name, image, and likeness, which is a big deal for LSU because you want to recruit new 17-year-old star quarterbacks so you could be like Jayden Daniels. So Daniels' lawyer told LSU to stop using Jayden Daniels' name, image, and likeness. So his name, his picture, his identity, can't use one of the rising stars in the NFL's commercial brand in any way, shape, or form.
And here's the thing. I understand Jayden Daniels and his team are not asking LSU, which everyone is saying, please don't let anybody else use the number 5. They're not doing that. They understand the rules. They understand that they can't ask for that, but they can ask, hey, listen, if you're not going to honor the handshake agreement Brian Kelly made with me, you can't use my name, image, and likeness. And that changes my opinion. I kind of get that.
Mine too. And in the chat room, Malachi Mark says, not going to lie, the fighting about the number is hitting me like the count from Sesame Street. A 1, a 2. Yes. And he's in the chat room because if you're listening to this right now, you can join us every Wednesday from 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern to join us. Be in the chat room. Hang out. Do this chat. We are live at twitch.tv/Scott Sigler, youtube.com/Scott Sigler, and the archaic and falling apart facebook.com /Scott Sigler. So I agree with you, A, because these are really two different disputes.
Agreed.
That have been mashed together that make both sides look like petty little assholes, but it's more complicated than that. So dispute number one. Should the young man, 5-star recruit DJ Pickett, be allowed to wear the number 5? The University of Louisiana State promised him via their spokesperson, the leader of the entire program, Brian Kelly, that yes, he would be able to wear number 5, which is why this highly recruited young player came to that university. LSU promised it to him. Therefore, the university is bigger than Jayden Daniels. And from that perspective, DJ should get the number that was promised to him. There was a handshake agreement, and he agreed to it, and he showed up, and he's ready to play ball.
However,
dispute number 2. Should LSU be allowed to keep making money from Jayden Daniels' identity if its contractual right to use his name, image, and likeness has expired? This becomes a completely different question, which also is fully in Jayden Daniels' legal and ethical and moral right to say, nay, no, you promised me a thing. I don't get the thing. You can't use my face. So the reporting says that LSU's contractual right to use Jayden Daniels' name, image, and likeness lasted 180 days after his final game, and that has long since expired.
So this is my thought here. What's happening is Jayden Daniels understands that he had a handshake agreement that wasn't honored. DJ Pickett also understood in his first year at LSU, when he played under the number 3, that he had a handshake agreement that wasn't honored. Mm-hmm. And now Jayden Daniels is saying, listen, I understand that that was a handshake agreement that wasn't honored, but I did have an actual agreement with you. Mm-hmm. And if you're not going to honor my handshake, if we're not gentlemen anymore, okay. If you don't think my number 5 belongs to my LSU legacy, please stop selling my LSU legacy, which they have not to this very day done.
Yes. I guarantee you to this day, the sales of Jayden Daniels' number 5 LSU jerseys brings in a significant amount of revenue to the University of Louisiana.
And as of this day, I Googled it this afternoon. I can still buy a Jayden Daniels LSU jersey, or T-shirt anyway, not jersey.
So the university is making money from this pro quarterback's name, image, and likeness. So the principal, we don't know how much money they are making from this jersey and all the official things. Plus the secondary, using Jayden Daniels, who's a 25-year-old star quarterback in the NFL, to recruit 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. That latter part, the recruiting part, you guys, I can't even quantify how important it is to other 5-star blue chip quarterbacks, be like, hey, LSU put Jayden Daniels in the pros, I'm going to go to LSU. And if they can't use Jayden Daniels' name, a clip, a highlight, anything, that really matters. So who wears Jayden Daniels number 5 and who gets to commercially exploit Jayden Daniels are not necessarily the same legal or moral question.
That's just it. This is the thing. Like, for me, I feel like people like me who didn't play a lot of team sports, who don't have that team aesthetic experience are thinking like, guys, it's just a number.
And listen, I mean this in the nicest, most respectful possible way. Normal people would think what you were thinking. It's just a number.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, were you or are you attached to your jersey number?
My jersey number was 6, and I still own multiple jerseys from high school. I own multiple jerseys from my fictitious football team, the INF Krakens of the Galactic Football League.
Also 6s.
All of my jerseys are number 6. All of them. Not only that, but my father's number was number 10 in high school and at Olivet College. And the number of the main character in my Galactic Football League series is number 10. And I do that to honor my father's legacy and what he has done for me and my brother. So numbers fucking really, really, really matter. Number can represent not only who you are, it's who you wanted to be and who you wanted to become when you wore that number above your heart, above your diaphragm, above your stomach, above your whole core, the core of who you are. When you're playing that sport, that number matters a goddamn lot. So
I'm so glad you talked about Quentin's number in this episode because this is so relevant. This is what is happening for Jayden Daniels and DJ Pickett.
It's not just a number for either of these talented, hardworking young men. So it's why when you start this conversation, I'm not going to lie. I'm a diehard sports fan. I'm a football player. I've been involved in my sport. My first memory in my life is watching football film, 60mm football film. Even for me, this whole argument sounds absolutely goddamn ludicrous. It sounds like a bunch of children in a room kicking over blocks. It's silly. But it's when your life's blood and your heart pumps and your soul is, and you work so fucking hard to get there, it's not as silly as it initially sounds. A number can be a childhood identity. It represents how hard you want to work to get to this place that few people can get to. It can be superstitious. It's absolutely fucking, like, if I don't have that number, I'm not as good of a player. It's also branding. We are in a world where a number represents hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to particular athletes. It can also be a legacy, which is what Mr. Daniels is kind of after, is that is my legacy. I served, I put blood, sweat, and tears in the university, and
100%.
I succeeded. And it can be worth a lot of fucking money.
This is the thing. Absolutely. This is the thing, right? Think about what LSU apparently used as part of the recruitment for DJ Pickett.
For the new number 5.
The new number 5. They knew it all along. They didn't tell Jayden Daniels in 2024 when they were recruiting DJ Pickett, like, hey, listen, we got to do this. They could have, but they weren't doing that, right? Because they were saying, like, they weren't saying, to be fair, let me start over. They weren't saying, no, DJ, just come play football here. Mm-hmm. They weren't saying that.
Right.
They were, part of their actual pitch was, you can have number 5. You can continue your story.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Without looking at anybody else's who played number 5, their story. When they were saying that, they were promising things. Their mouth was promising things their butt couldn't deliver, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't understand this, but I don't understand this personally, but I do understand how important and valuable the symbol of the number can be to athletes, and especially athletes who start out like, I can't imagine what it is like to understand sports from my jersey number, But
it's a different thing. Yeah.
But I 100% can understand that DJ Pickett, since he was 4 years old, whenever he suited up, he was number 5.
It's all a ritual.
That is the thing that players care about. College players, high school players, NFL players, any players. It's about playing time. It's about position. It's about coaching. It's about fairness. It's about honor.
Toughness.
It's about facilities. It's about name, image, and likeness, like he's talking about. These are all the things that college recruiters are talking to the recruits about.
Talking to kids.
The exposure you'll get. And DJ Pickett is like, yeah, I just want to continue my journey at number 5. And so the digit that was printed on his shirt was super important to him, and he trusted LSU. And Brian Kelly absolutely lied to him and gave him number 3.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And then he gets fired because of course he should be fired.
Brian Kelly's a piece of work.
I don't care why he got fired. He should have gotten fired. And then Lane Kiffin comes in and is like, Coach Kiffin is like, you know what? I am not accepting this heat. This was clearly a promise that was made on paper. And there was a handshake agreement with Jayden Daniels, which I also respect.
Yeah, but he wasn't the coach.
But I wasn't the coach, and I didn't do that handshake, and I don't have that promise in writing.
Yes. And now keep in mind, Lane Kiffin is the kind of human who is going to say whatever he wants, do whatever he wants to give his program the best chance at success. If you are not sure who this man is, you should Google Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss University, and you will see a whole different side of things. But that being said, if the young man DJ was promised this number to come to the university when he could have gone anywhere, I agree. The university has to honor the promise to that young man.
Yeah.
But there's also a much bigger theme here. College programs are constantly caught between honoring the people who built their history and recruiting the people who might build the next chapter or keep that history going. Jayden Daniels represents LSU's past, as does Joe Burrow. Spectacular, rarefied individuals, glorious, extremely recent. This isn't like 1940, guys. It's not like, you know what? He didn't go to the war because he got to play for the LSU Tigers and gall dirty. He brought national honor to the. It's not 60, 70, 80 years ago. It's 95.
Yeah, Joe Burrow graduates in 2019. And Jayden Daniels graduates in 2023. This is recent
Super
history.
recent. So Pickett represents LSU's present and future. And the problem is when the university empowers a football coach to make promises and then fires a football coach, now you're caught between a situation where your university, through your representative, has made promises to both people. And eventually, those commitments are going to collide. Yeah. And everybody, all the young men, they just want what they were promised. And why is that a problem that they want what they were promised?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. So I do want to ask, we've talked a little bit around this, but I want to ask what your verdict on Daniel sending the cease and desist letter is.
In the chat room, this is a very, very poignant point. Chris Grawl says, I only played 1 year of Pop Warner football. When I was in the 6th grade, I still remember my number. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
So this is one of the situations where there's no clear-cut winner. There's no clear-cut loser. There's no clear-cut whiny person. It's a little bit weird. I understand why Jayden Daniels is angry. If he was promised a thing and delivered at such an incredibly high level for his university that promised him the thing, I think him sending the cease and desist order was, I get it, but it's a really bad PR move for a couple of reasons. Real quick, whatever money he makes from LSU, whatever promise he's made, it all pales in comparison to how much money he will make for the next 10 to 15 years of his life as a successful, dominant NFL quarterback. He could, if he wanted to, he could let this go. He could just let it go. So this has turned into what could have been, hey, look, I'm disappointed in my alma mater. LSU did not protect. They told me they didn't protect my number, but you know what? This young man deserves a chance, and I'm not happy about it, but bless him, and I hope he does well. Go Tigers. And it's turned into a national story about whether Jayden Daniels thinks he owns number 5. And more importantly, why is he worried about a kid wearing his number when he's hitting the 3rd year of his NFL career, when year 1 was lights fucking out and year 2 was difficult? And now 3rd year, he needs to be focused on his team, the Washington Commanders.
But I don't even think he actually thought all of that. I wonder if he was focused on the Commanders and he let his team do the thing about his legacy or whatever.
By team,
you know what I mean?
His management team.
His management team,
sports team.
His management team, his lawyers, his staff, his agents. His agent is his mom.
Yep.
So his mom is going to be very protective of his legacy, and I don't fault her for that.
So my sum on this is you are already earning generational wealth. You are one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. As far as guys your age, probably top 3. You have a huge future ahead of you. You could just let this go and go make money and do your own thing. And the most important thing to me is I have to wonder if the guys in the locker room around him are looking at him like, what are you doing? We are coming up on the season. You need to be the man. You need to be everything you do should be Washington Commanders. And you're spending time on this. I believe that matters in the locker room. It matters who's going to follow him in a battle. It's a big thing. But, I'm more sympathetic to him saying LSU no longer gets to commercially exploit him, his name, image, and likeness, which is, look, he is a human being who accomplished great things with the university, but he also has rights. He has his right to say, you can't use my name without my permission. That is a fucking real fact. These are 2 different arguments competing at the same time. And I think if it just comes down to honor and pride and just gotten down to this, you promised me a thing, and now we'll go to the mattresses because you're not giving me the thing you promised. I think he has a much better case in that regard.
I do too. I think the name, image, likeness, he's absolutely going to have more success in. I will also say, Jayden Daniels himself has said precious little about the number 5.
He's let his people handle it. Yeah.
He said, and what he said is, I think, kind of pitch perfect. He was like, I am focused on the Commanders. I am focused on my job. I trust my team, which is I think the best answer the best thing he can say public facing. But before we end, I do want to ask about the comparison to Joe Burrow, since they're both NFL players, they're both quarterbacks, and they are both LSU graduates.
Yeah, and keep in mind, these are 2 rarefied individuals,
100%.
Not just in raw talent, but in work ethic and toughness, and they have done everything they can for their organizations. Daniels absolutely deserves to be mentioned alongside Burrow as one of LSU's great quarterbacks.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But Burrow's number 9 isn't just attached to a Heisman. This is very important differentiator in the world of college football. Burrow's name is attached to 15-0, undefeated, smacking the shit out of Alabama twice when Alabama was absolutely the ultimate program in the nation. And Joe Burrow and his LSU Tigers delivered a national championship, the ultimate prize, what everybody's spending all the money for in college football.
For sure.
And that season is one of the most celebrated seasons in the history of college football. It was perfect. It was spectacular. I'm always going to remember Joe Burrow winning the Natty, going back in the locker room, sitting in a chair in his full LSU uniform with Buraux on the back of his jersey.
Burrow.
Changed the spelling of his name to celebrate the Cajun culture and the LSU culture, smoking a cigar because he knew I'd won the Heisman. I'm the number 1 pick. I'm the guy. I'm going to sit here and relax and celebrate my accomplishment with my teammates. It's a Hollywood spectacular moment that Jayden did not get to have. So if LSU chooses to treat Joe Burrow's experience as a unique piece of his history, I don't think just because you win the Heisman, every future Heisman winner gets to have an identical treatment. It was incredibly special and rare. That does not mean that Jayden Daniels is wrong.
Any way, shape, or form.
It does not mean that.
Spectacular.
It just means that for all of Jayden Daniels' talent, hard work, success, and intelligence, It's not the same thing. Burrow had a different experience.
So I'm going to ask you, does DJ, I keep calling him JD.
Me too.
Does DJ Pickett keep the number 5?
I think at this point, LSU has to honor their commitment to DJ. Because if you look at, let's look at the ramifications of, you have to go back on your word on somebody. You have to betray somebody, period. Do you betray Jayden Daniels, who is making $30 million a year after this season, right? Or do you betray a 18-year-old who is on the field for your organization right now, right?
And is there anything in writing? Yes, there is.
Is there?
For the 18-year-old.
Oh, the 18-year-old. He got that shit signed in paper?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a whole different ballgame. So if it's on paper, Jayden doesn't have it on paper, JD does, or DJ, sorry. DJ does. Good on him. LSU's got to keep the promise. LSU is a university that is teaching late teenagers, early 20-something. They're trying to prepare them for their future in this world and for this country, and that's an important responsibility.
Absolutely.
So you keep the promise to the kid, because the less harm in the situation is to keep the promise to the young man who's going to help a university right now. So I hope Jayden eventually realizes this. And DJ, the thing is, DJ Pickett wearing number 5, it doesn't erase anything Jayden Daniels did.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't change anything. Everybody in the LSU organization is going to remember this guy forever. Pickett could become an All-American. He could become a first-round draft pick. He could be involved in a national championship for LSU while wearing the glorified, storified number 5. None of that changes what Jayden accomplished in 2023.
Agreed.
606 yards against Florida, the bitter rival, the Florida Gators. It still happened. 50 touchdowns still happen. The Heisman still happen. Jayden Daniels' legacy is written. The number's just a symbol. I hope personally that Jayden grows up a little bit. He's a very young man. He's very successful. Grows up a little bit and be like, you know what? I love my time at LSU. I'll be a Tiger for life. I'll fucking bleed yellow and black. And eventually he fucking relaxes and gets to celebrate the glory. Because once he's out of the NFL, yes, you get to be with the Commanders and you get to go back to Commanders games. I think for all these guys who are ballers as quarterbacks and big-time players in D1 unit programs, when their NFL career is done, I think they all get way more joy going back to their college and sitting in the stands and being embraced by all the fans who are students when they were students. I think that brings far more joy to people than it does celebrating with your NFL team. So if the legacy is real, somebody else wearing that jersey is never going to take away your glory.
This is exactly it. Our good friend Don on YouTube says, I understand both sides. It should be a cautionary tale and people making promises should be held accountable. I think that a promise was broken and LSU shouldn't make any more money off of Jayden Daniels. I agree with you, Don.
I agree. Yeah.
She also says, keep the promise to the kid and LSU can stop making money on the NFL player. And yes. I think that is the best solution that can happen. I don't fault Jayden Daniels for wondering about it or asking about it, because he was he had a handshake agreement for a different thing, and I think that's important. But
he was asked to do a job. He said, I want this. He did the job. He did the thing the university asked him to do at a very high level. It's rational and reasonable for him to expect that this storied university is going to honor their commitment to him. I'm on his side. I'm also on not DJ's side. I'm on the side of the, I swear to God, I have to take a shower after saying this because I feel dirty.
It's okay.
I feel dirty.
It's okay.
I'm on Lane Kiffin's side.
And that is it for this episode of Scott Sigler Slices.
LSU, maybe you stop promising shit to two different people. And you know what? While I smell very, very dirty and need a shower, you people smell an awful lot like flowers.
Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys.
You're getting so good at this job, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Thanks.
You're
Yeah,
fucking getting
thanks.
great at this job.
You guys stay. We're not done talking to you guys if you're here. Noah, I did forget to mention. We did forget to mention LinkedIn. You're out here all the time.
Oh, I said, yeah, like Noah's our one. Noah's our LinkedIn cat. Oh God, Stephen Bloomfield. That's a great answer. Stephen Bloomfield says, let's just split the difference and give them each number 2.5.
Let's go.
Which brings up longtime junkie Kelly McCardle. What was Kelly's was 10?
It was
He had
7330. So
Oh, it's a 4-digit number.
because it's spelled
'Cause
Lego
he's an
upside
asshole.
down.
Oh. Well, Close Man says, what a fantastic, engaging discussion.
This was
You
so
both
interesting
love it. Thank
to
you,
me
Malachi. Thank you.
because you see, like how this started is we took off. You guys know last week we took off during the work week. We went to Vegas for a couple of days just to hang out with each other because we work all the time, and we both have a million obligations. And so this was a little bit of nothing is going on. Nobody can tell us nothing. We're going to eat and drink for 2 days, and it's going to be fun. And this came up during that cycle.
Yep.
And I was like, Scott brought it, like sent it to me just for interest.
It's so crazy.
Right? And I was like, well, come on. This is shit. And then I looked into it because I was at a spa by myself. I was having a spa day. And I looked into it in the calm room, and I got everything but calm. I was like, wait a minute, this is not Jayden Daniels is getting shit on, and he hasn't done anything wrong. And because DJ Pickett also didn't do anything wrong, both of these people are youngins. They're children. DJ Pickett, 17 years old when he says, oh, you're going to let me have number 5? Yeah, let's do this.
Dude,
Jayden Daniels,
25
years old.
No, he's 25 now.
22 years old when he leaves LSU and gets the handshake agreement that, like, you have done spectacular
Steven,
things.
Tell the people you're talking to at work, like, hey, when this episode posts, I'll send it to you. Also, here's my thoughts, because we need you guys to spread the word of mouth. I'm not going to lie, dude. I don't like Jayden Daniels because he destroyed my Lions in the first round of playoffs when we were supposed to win the fucking Super Bowl. So
Exactly.
So that's a respect hate. But at the same time, when I initially read this article, I sent it to Abe like, can you believe this guy? What are you doing? This is ridiculous. But then the more I read into it, I'm like, there's not an easy answer right here. A person has the right to expect that people will honor their commitments to them. If Abe promises me something and she goes and does something else, I have every fucking right to be upset about that to the point of seeking legal ramifications, right? And so Jayden, this doesn't look good in Jayden. He's not winning in the court of opinion, but he has a fucking point and he has a fucking right.
Yeah, he is not winning on the internet right now, but I'm not sure that's all him. I'm not sure that's all him. I think his team has a point. He had a beef. I get all of that. I also want to say this, since Scott brought it up. If I promise him something, and in the last handful of years, things got out of whack for me. Like, I went into menopause, all the things, right? And so there were things where I was like, yeah, no, I've got that. Where for literal a decade and a half, if I said, oh, I got that, that's all he had to hear.
Yeah. She gave the word. She said her thing.
And then there were a couple of years in a row when I didn't realize that I was falling down on, like,
You were changing.
I was having brain fog and not really, I wasn't remembering all those things. I wasn't doing all those things. I needed to develop a new plan and have notes and consistency, which Scott does every single day of his life. I didn't have to do until like 3 years ago. If I say I'm going to bring up lunch at 1 p.m. or we're going to do this at 2 p.m., I need to make sure we both know that and it's documented, because I will fucking forget too. So shit happens.
Yeah.
It's not Jayden Daniels' fault that shit happened and he asked about it. I appreciate that. Asking about it in a cease and desist way is a lot, but I will also say one more time, he didn't say, quit giving DJ Pickett number 5. That wasn't the cease and desist.
That's correct.
The cease and desist was
That's
like, listen, you didn't
point.
honor the thing you said to me, so I am going to take away the thing you are using to make money that is mine. And I don't have any problem with that.
That's a couple of things. We got comments in chat we're going to talk about. He's making a good point. Jayden Daniels is not filing a lawsuit to prevent this other young man from using the number.
At all.
Jayden Daniels would be like, hey, LSU, you promised me this. You went back on your word. So now you can't use my name to make money and recruit players. It's
because you're no longer my friend. You're no longer my friend.
It starts out sounding petty, but when you really think about it, you're like, you promised me A, you didn't deliver A, therefore you can't have B. This is the legal world. This is how our culture works. Malachi says, tangentially related, who is Chick McGee's pick for the 2026 Tier 4 NCAA champs? Bro, I have no fucking idea who's going to be a competitor at this point. I'm busy writing shit about football, so I can't watch football.
There are a couple of other things.
Recluse Mage
says, is it just me or is it kind of shitty that they can't just say they're happy to honor the previous bearer of the number instead of making it all about themselves? I believe this may have more to do with Jayden's team than himself. I'm not sure if that's true. I have no evidence to say that's true. But he might have said, God, that feels... But they told me.
So what I did say that I understand the point of Jayden's team and Jayden. You made me a promise. You broke the promise. But that's why I talked about during the episode. At the same time, bro, your next 4 generations of your family are going to be so privileged because of the money you're making right now. If you get hurt in 2 years, you'll retire with $100 million in the bank. You could be the bigger person and say, you know what? I'm not happy about it, but let the young man have his fucking flowers. He's chosen to not do that, which is on him. That's his choice.
Okay, I will add this perspective as well. He is, I think, 24 right now.
Yeah.
As a Washington Commander. And his mom is his agent who did all the work to become an NFL agent. Like she did all the things to make sure she understood the players union and the NFL rules, did all the things. So she is an NFL agent, and she has not about this, but before this has sort of said, like, I wish that more young players had people who are working the admin side of things and understanding the rules here.
Yep.
So she's quite invested in the idea that these are still young people who don't know what they don't know. Do I think that this was a little bit heavy-handed and not the best PR moment? I do. Do I think that she did anything wrong saying, hey, listen, if you're not going to honor your handshake agreement, we're not friends. And so you can't continue to benefit from Jayden's likeness. I also think that is the right thing to do as an agent or a mom. I think either way.
The craziest thing about this is there's 5 particulars involved, right? So there's DJ, Jayden, LSU, Brian Kelly, and who's the coach, current coach?
Lane
Kiffin. And all 5 of them are not necessarily wrong or evil. This is the grown-up world, right? Like it's not binary. It's not ones and zeros. It's a gradation. There's a gradient involved in all of this. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah,
go ahead.
So the one thing any of those five principals in this drama could have done, DJ, Jayden, LSU, Lane, all of them could have been like, Brian Kelly was an asshole. But that also doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything about this.
Even though it's true.
Fair enough. They can throw him under the bus, but that doesn't change any outcome here. Mm-hmm. So doing that is a dead end. And I'm not sure that they want to spend their time and energy on a dead end. It doesn't help anything.
It doesn't. And this is the world of big-time college sports, right? Every university, every college coach is expected to win their conference, number 1, and win the natty, number 2, a very close number 2. If you beat your rivals, you might keep your job. If you win conference championships, you'll probably keep your job. If you win the natty, win the national championship, you will keep your job for 2 years, right?
Yep.
You win a national championship, go 15-0, like happened at LSU with Odrin, and then the next 2 years, you don't win the division, you're gone. Yeah. It's an incredibly high pressure, demanding job, And frankly, this is not a job that caters well to moral people who keep their word. You have to do everything you can do. It's dirty, it's nasty. And both Kelly and both of the coaches involved, Kiffin and Kelly, they're not doing anything wrong. Like, there's no villain here.
I mean, Brian Kelly clearly talked out of both sides of his mouth. Absolutely,
well, when he was
talked
head
of
coach,
both,
yeah, I
both
guess,
sides
yeah,
of his mouth.
for sure.
So he could have also massaged that problem. He could have said, "Hey, Jayden, listen, we've got this great kid. He's following in your footsteps. Like, he's defense, but he's just like, he loves the number 5 like you love the number 5." But Brian Kelly couldn't be bothered. I don't know anything about Brian Kelly. But
I do.
He could have fixed shit. I also don't know a ton about Lane Kiffin, but I do know that a lot of people don't like him. I also will say this with my entire fucking chest. He inherited a problem that wasn't his with a super simple fix that would also not be his problem, which is LSU promised this kid this thing in writing. Let's give this kid this thing. It's unfair not to, because Kiffin is worried about his future and hopefully LSU's future and hopefully DJ Pickett's future. And in that case, the only fucking option is to say, this was not my problem, but this is my fix.
I will say my take on this, based on my external observation of college football over the last 20 years, is Lane Kiffin is worried about Lane Kiffin, and DJ helps Lane Kiffin succeed at LSU.
Also fair.
So Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin coming into the program, without a doubt, is going to always side on his blue chip recruit. The only exception to this equation is if Jayden Daniels under the table comes back to LSU like, I got a $10 million endowment right now, $20 million by the time I retire. And then the LSU president comes and goes, Lane, that number's fucking retired. That's the only way Lane Kiffin does not give that kid the number.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Why shouldn't he? It's not his. He didn't promise anything. He's just executing. And he's executing for the player that is in his fucking locker room right now. Not Jayden Daniels, who won't take his calls and is clearly not giving him passes because he's not his coach. Lane Kiffin wasn't his coach, you know?
Yes. Apparently I've got a cough now. We're going to go. You guys are great. Also, let's give our flowers to the producer over here. You did a great job.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, this was so interesting to me. This is the weird
really,
side
really
effect
good job,
of
babe.
Slices
Wonderful.
is I've been trying to learn a lot about football. Chris Grawl in the chat room and Scott have taught me so much. Chris Grawl made me join a fantasy league, and I learned so much more. But it's shit like this, like, I didn't understand any of that.
It's such good, the stories.
It's such good
The
stories.
stories are so fucking good, you guys. That's what this whole pack's, I know this is all a football episode, but we're trying to come at sports from the story side.
Yeah.
And not wind up being a fucking asshole Stephen A. Smith who's just making us. We don't want to make the story about us. We talk about this is a great story, and we want to share this story with you because, my God, this is so interesting and complicated and nuanced. And this is a very nuanced story with all of these players. But great job. You're killing it.
Thank you.
Very, very impressed. It was delightful.
We will see you next Wednesday. I will tell you guys who are still here, next Wednesday is, we will have a show next Wednesday, and we will not have a show on Wednesday, the 2nd of September, because
Dragon
we will
Con.
be traveling to Dragon Con.
ATL, boy.
We're going to figure that out. We're probably, just like we've done in the last couple of weeks, we're probably going to record something offline so that you guys have something in the podcast feed, even if you don't have us live. We are bringing our recording rig to Dragon Con in case we can do something from there, but it's always sketchy because the internet is maxed out. Like, there's no way
it's
to get a
100,000
good
extra
stream,
people
right?
in downtown Atlanta.
So we're going to try, but we're probably going to do things that we will post later and not record live, sadly, because that always fails. We've tried that a couple of times at Dragon Con. So we love you guys. Thank you so much
And
for hanging out
Malachi,
with us.
we will absolutely take your money for GFL 7. A's working on, A's getting that to a copy editor right now. We're in the vinegar strokes.
We are.
Of GFL
Yeah,
7.
yeah.
With
We
the
got to get
vinegar
the
strokes
right
GFL 7, the
copy
vinegar
editors.
strokes of Slay Hatchet Man, and of course, Beast Beyond the River will be out in September, of which Chris Grawl is in the chat room right now, was very helpful in that book for sure. And Chris Grawl's book is coming out very soon. Schrodinger's
Schrodinger's Glass.
Schrodinger's Glass. Chris Grawl.
Also in September.
Also in September, that's right.
Yeah.
So there's
We'll
lots
have
of
him on the cast in September.
juiciness coming out. But you guys are all great. And that's it. I'm going to go hang out with my girl and do my post work and see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks for joining us, you guys. We love you.